Hushi's eyes widened slightly. She was astounded as she looked at the bodies entangling each other's and the men and women who moaned from time to time on the screen. Even though the woman's jade body was tangled with another body at this time, her hair was disheveled, her face was sweaty and looked confused, it was completely different from her usual superior look, but Hushi recognized the person at a glance. Isn't this Feng Lianying? And the person tangled with her is Nie Jinchen. But this was not the most startling part. The most shocking thing was that Mr. Liao's 7 extremely ugly disciples were all undressed at this time. They were surrounding Feng Lianying with a fascinated look. Some people caressed her skin, some people bit her jade arm, someone kept rubbing against her, showing an expression of enjoyment. This scene was really inscrutable and disgusting. Nan Gongyu originally pulled out this video in order to vent Hushi's anger, but when he saw the scene, his face suddenly turned gloomy. He exited from the boundless black market immediately. He pulled the girl closer to her arms and covered her face fiercely. Don't watch. Nan Gongyu felt that he was really out of his mind. He just wanted to stick up for Hushi. Why didn't he realize that the scene was so unsightly, it almost polluted Shier's eyes? The most important thing was that the men were naked shamelessly. How could he let Shier see it? Even if he wants her to watch, she can only watch his. At this time, Nan Gongyu was annoyed that he wanted to delete the live broadcast in the black market. Hushi laughed in his arms. He grabbed his big hands, and there was amusement at the corners of her eyebrows. Nan Gongyu, you are doing this to stick up for me? Nan Gongyu sneered, isn't Feng Lianying want your reputation to be ruined? Then I will fulfill her wish. The number of purchases of this video has exceeded 10 million. I believe that the entire Miluo continent today will know what kind of person the miss of the Feng family is. Hushi hesitated for a moment. She had always been alone. She would get her revenge on her own, she would deal with her business on her own. But now, for the first time, she felt dependent on someone and being cared for, but it was so sweet and soothing. As Hushi was about to say something, a pink pig suddenly appeared out of nowhere and landed between Hushi and Nan Gongyu. Little Egg rubbed his eyes and looked around, then he suddenly woke up and pounced into Hushi's arms and cried, "Woo-woo, Mom, are you okay? Little Egg always knows that you were in danger during my sleep, but I just couldn't wake up." Little Egg was worried and anxious, but fortunately, Dad arrived. Hushi touched his little head and said softly, "Little Egg, don't worry. Mom is fine now." She knew that this little one exhausted his spiritual power in order to heal the little dumb cow and fell into a coma. Hushi was happy now that he could wake up safely. But wait, what the hell is Dad? She saw Little Egg turn around and looked at Nan Gongyu timidly, then he screamed with a soft child voice, "Dad." Nan Gongyu's cold eyes showed a hint of warmth, and he nodded, "Come here." Little Egg turned to look at the astounded Hushi, then he stepped with his short legs and ran to Nan Gongyu clumsily. Nan Gongyu took out a lotus-shaped jade, threw it to Little Egg, and said, "Giving you a present." Little Egg grabbed the lotus-shaped jade, and he was suddenly overjoyed. The peculiar spiritual power inside was thick and pure, and it was mixed with a flavor of magic energy. Whether it was for Nyo Nyo, Little Dragon, or Aunt Little Purple, it was the best supplement. Little Egg quickly put the lotus-shaped jade into the void. His eyes that were watching Nan Gongyu were full of worship and kindness. He grabbed his clothes and said, "Dad, you are so good. Those bad guys were defeated easily under your hand." But he seemed to think of something again. Little Egg immediately became weeping, "But Dad, it would be nice if you come early. That way, Mom would not be bullied by that bad guy." That bad guy took off Mom's clothes, and he still wanted to humiliate Mom. Little Dragon and Auntie Little Purple were also injured. "Woo-woo, if Dad were there, you can definitely protect your mother." When Nan Gongyu heard that, his face suddenly turned gloomy. The pair of beautiful eyes became dull like a storm condensing into a whirlpool. Little Egg knows. Little Egg immediately raised his little paw, clenched into fist, and shook it fiercely in the air. My mother called him Feng Yunjing, and he asked Mom to marry him and become the miss of the Feng family. Mom wasn't willing, so he wanted to force Mom. That old and ugly shameless man, he doesn't even match Dad's shoes. How can he covet Mom? Nangong Yu looked at Heshi with a somber and cold look. That chilling anger and murderous intention made Heshi shiver. He stretched out his hand, then Heshi shuddered and she was pulled into his arms. He hugged her tightly. Feng Yunjing, where did he touch you? Nangong Yu's voice was filled with the murderous intention that could pierce into the bone and jealousy. Sheer, you are mine. Anyone who covets you should be damned. Why didn't you ask me for help earlier? Heshi shivered under his cold gaze, then she immediately returned to her senses. She said furiously, how do I know that the inscribed jade slip is used to summon you? Wu Xing just told me to let me bring this inscribed jade slip with me. If there is a danger, it can save my life. I don't know how to use this inscribed jade slip, let alone summoning you. Nangong Yu frowned, and he was extremely dissatisfied with Wu Xing. He knew what Wu Xing was worrying about, but it was because of Wu Xing's worry that Sheer almost suffered irreparable harm. Maybe he should let them know the position of Sheer in his mind. Wu Xing, who was recovering from his injuries in the Tsang Mountain, shuddered. He looked around suspiciously without finding any peculiar. He was totally unaware that his master had marked down one demerit on him. Under Heshi's explanation, Nangong Yu's complexion eased. However, he held Heshi's hand tighter. Sheer, I will never let Feng Yunjing go. Since he dared to touch you, then he should prepare to suffer a living hell. Heshi was stunned. She had the same cold expression on her face. Nangong Yu, if you want to revenge on the Feng family, count me in. If she didn't return the pain and humiliation that the Feng family's people added to her, she would not be Heshi. Nangong Yu frowned as he remembered the plot hidden behind the Feng family, and he wanted to refuse. He didn't want Sheer to be in any danger. However, seeing the persistence under Heshi's eyes, Nangong Yu still sighed, lowered his head and kissed her gently. Well, let's go together. Heshi breathed a sigh of relief. However, when she thought of the name that Little Egg addressed just now, her eyes suddenly squinted with a hint of warning. Little Egg, why do you call him Dad? Little Egg tilted his head blankly, and he said childishly, Dad taught me. He asked you to do it, then you have to follow. Do you still have a little vigilance? Besides, weren't you calling pretty brother happily in the beginning? Nangong Yu leaned closer to Heshi's ear and whispered, I haven't asked Sheer yet, pretty brother. It seems that Sheer really likes my looks. I'm really honored. Damn you. Heshi pushed him away and laughed. What, Dad, you don't take advantage of our little egg. Nangong Yu squeezed her upright nose and said seriously, I'm just trying to get used to the feeling of being called as Dad. After Sheer marries me and gives birth to a child for him, I will know how to take care of our baby. Bullshit. Who is going to give you a baby? Heshi patted his hand away, her face flushed. As she was about to say something, she suddenly saw Nangong Yu's pale face suddenly became paler. Heshi panicked, grabbed Nangong Yu's hand, and said, Nangong Yu, what's wrong with you? Was it hurt? I'm fine. Nangong Yu waved his hand. Don't worry about it. It's just the sequelae for tearing through space. Heshi quickly took out Ninth's secluded spirit spring and fed it to Nangong Yu, but she was a little confused. Tearing through space. She remembered that almost no one in Miluo continent could do that, right? And now that he was being governed by the rules of the Breaking Spirit Mountain. Even if he was an advanced-level nascent soul stage powerhouse, it was impossible for him to enter without the inscribed teleportation jade slip. How did Nangong Yu come here? Thinking of this, Heshi's face showed an anxious look. Did you use any secret method? So you have to pay a heavy price to appear here. Nangong Yu lifted her worried eyebrows. In those clear and beautiful eyes, all the reflections were his own shadow. He couldn't help lowering his head and softly kissed on those eyes before he said softly, Sheer, rest assured, your man is not so weak. Although tearing through space has to pay a little price, it's just a minor problem for me. It's just that this is just my clone, and it will soon dissipate into fundamental essence and merge with the original body. Clone. He was even more surprised, and she suddenly felt that the Nangongyu in front of her was full of mystery. Milieu continent's martial artists can cultivate clones, but most clones can only support the user and confuse the enemy. Like Nangongyu, clone that can tear space, has powerful combat power, and can be transformed fundamental essence and merge with the original body. How terrifying is that strength? Nangongyu, the strength that he shows, is it only at the intermediate level of the nascent soul stage? Nangongyu embraced the doubtful girl in her arms and pinched her soft little hand. He couldn't help lowering her head and kissing her tender cheek again. "Sheer, we don't have much time together. Don't worry about other things. Just focus on being with me, okay?" The man's voice was low and hoarse with a sense of coquettishness and grievance. Coupling with the exquisite and delicate face of Zhang Juanxiu, even the most stubborn person would be enchanted by his tenderness. Nangongyu only hated that his clone, that could tear through space, didn't have much time before merging back to the original body. Now that he and He had just established their relationship, it was the most affectionate moment. He couldn't wait to separate from her lips and hold her in his palms. He didn't want to separate from her anymore. He just felt that her ears were hot and her body was soft and weak, but she felt sweet and shy in her heart. She grabbed Nangongyu's big palm, then she suddenly straightened up and gently made a soft kiss on the man's side face. Immediately afterward, she turned her face and whispered, "Is this okay? I did focus on treating you right." Nangongyu responded to her with a fiery deep kiss, completely engulfing her breath. However, the sweet time was always short. Nangongyu's face was getting paler, and his breath was getting weaker. He put his hand on Hexi's face, but it slowly became cold and empty as if it would disappear at any time. Nangongyu sighed softly, "Sheer, wait for me for a while. I will be back soon, soon." As soon as the words were spoken, Nangongyu's body seemed to be dissimated, turning into many light spots and dissipating in the air. Hexi heard from him that it was only his clone disappearing and merging back into the original body. But when Hexi watched this scene, there was still an unspeakable panic in her heart. Even her breathing almost stopped. It was as if Nangongyu would disappear forever from her life. "Boss, don't worry about it. He'll be fine." There was a weak voice from Little Golden Dragon in his ear. When the fundamental essence returns to his body, he will mostly spit a few mouthful of blood and get itchy. As soon as she heard that, Little Golden Dragon appeared in front of her. Although the little dragon's breath was still a bit weak, it was obvious that his injuries were mostly recovered after consuming the dozen monster essence pills. Now he even had energy to mock Hexi. Hexi grabbed this little one and checked his wound. She only let out a sigh of relief after determining that he was fine. Little Golden Dragon spoke calmly, "Boss, the dragon's vitality is very powerful, especially after entering rank 5. This minor injury is nothing at all. And after swallowing so many monster essence pills, I think my strength improves a lot after I've recovered." However, Little Purple Abyss Vine had the most serious injury. After all, she was a plant. After her root was hurt, it was more difficult to heal than Magical Beast. Little Egg immediately took out the lotus-shaped jade flower that Nangongyu gave him, and he spoke excitedly, "Little dragon, look, this is the treasure I got from Dad. There is even magical energy in it. After Aunt Little Purple consumes it, she will definitely get better." Little Golden Dragon extended his claw and examined the lotus-shaped jade flow, and he suddenly panicked. Isn't this yin-yang lotus jade? This is a treasure that can't be bought by hundreds of millions of crystals. King of Hell can actually gift such a magnificent present. He is really so generous. Little Egg held a lotus-shaped jade flower with his small paw, his face looked adored. "Of course, Dad is the most powerful person." "Little dragon, you fell asleep, so you did not see the people who bullied Mom, begged for mercy after being punished by Dad. I decided In the future, Dad will be my idol. I want to learn like Dad, and I will become as powerful as Dad, and then protect my mom. Little Golden Dragon looked at the cute face, short legs and pink claws of Little Egg, then he pursed his lips without speaking. The few spiritual pets in the void, together with Heshi's opinion, Little Egg only needed to act cute. As for becoming as powerful as Nan Gongyu, after thinking about the tall and muscular image of Little Egg, he couldn't help shaking his brain to get rid of the image. That was too unsightly. Little Golden Dragon did not talk to Little Egg, and continued, "Boss, do you know what Nan Gongyu's current cultivation is?" Heshi frowned. "Isn't it the intermediate level of the nascent soul stage?" She could see through most of the martial artist's cultivation, including Feng Yunjing and Nan Gongyu, but there were also some people whom she couldn't see through, such as her master and Zijin Immortal Master. But in her eyes, Nan Gongyu's cultivation was indeed at the intermediate level of the nascent soul stage. Little Golden Dragon's small paw was holding his dragon's chin with a thoughtful look. "Boss, do you know what was Nan Gongyu's trick just now?" In response to Heshi's gaze, Little Golden Dragon shook his claws. "That's the clone of the fundamental essence. Once the martial artist's cultivatoin reaches a certain level, they can use spiritual power to condense fundamental essence. If the fundamental essence is strong enough, you can make fundamental essence transfigure your own clone. In general, the higher the cultivation, the closer the clone of the fundamental essence to the original user, and of course, the stronger the strength. However, it's strange." Little Golden Dragon looked dignified. Logically, there are very few martial artists below divine stage who can condense the fundamental essence's clone. The people in the Miluo continent who have heard about the fundamental essence's clone are probably very few. What's more, Nan Gongyu's clone is still so solid. It seems that even its sensory emotion is exactly the same as his original body. The clone can also stay for a long time. This is definitely not a martial artist on the nascent soul stage can do it. Let alone, he also tore through time and space. Even if he is a martial artist of divine stage, there are very few people who can tear through time and space and enter the enclosed space. When my master, Zijin Immortal Master, was still in Miluo continent, he might not be able to do it, but Nan Gongyu did it. Heshi listened to Little Golden Dragon's words, but instead of being happy, she became more worried. "You also said that this is not easy to do. Then he tore through space and sent his clone here, will he really be fine?" Little Golden Dragon looked at Heshi's worried expression, and he immediately turned his eyes and laughed. "Well, boss, you don't have to worry about it. You can see his ease look and his reluctant to disappear, then you will know. The King of Hell is so powerful. Since he was certain that he could do it, then he will be fine." What Little Golden Dragon didn't say was that it was of course no problem to condense the fundamental essence's clone, but once the fundamental essence's clone was condensed, it meant that his strength would be divided into two. If the actual body was dangerous, he would most likely not be able to cope. In addition, the consumption of spiritual power was extremely huge to tear through space. Looking at Nan Gongyu's pale face just now, he definitely didn't feel good. But he didn't want his boss to worry, so he refused to tell her the truth. Since His Royal Highness King of Hell didn't want to reveal it, then I won't talk much. Lest my boss worries for no reason." Thinking of this, Little Golden Dragon immediately shifted the topic. He turned his claw, then a man who had no limbs and his lower body part was badly mutilated appeared in front of Heshi. "Boss, the King of Hell specifically left him to boss to deal with him." He. How do we deal with him?" Mr. Liao, who was thrown in front of Heshi, had his hands and feet cut off, even his reproductive organ and pelvic bones were also broken by stones. Mr. Liao, after all, was a martial artist with relatively high cultivation. Although he lost a lot of blood, he wouldn't die. At this point, he was smashed by Little Golden Dragon, and he immediately groaned and turned around. When he opened his eyes and saw Heshi looking down at him coldly, he was frightened that his body trembled. "Forgive me. Please forgive me. All this was what Feng Lianying asked me to do. It isn't related to me. Fairy, please forgive me. I will never dare to do it again. He looked at him with a sneer. There was no mercy in her eyes. Mr. Liao, I have heard that many young boys and girls were killed in your hands. I don't know if you still remember their cry for mercy before they died. Mr. Liao's body was stiff, then he cried even more pitifully. Miss Shiyu, the men and women I played with were mostly mortals who did not have cultivation. Those people were just scumbags. Those people weren't even worth being mentioned by Miss Shiyu. Even if I kill thousands of them, they are just a bunch of nobodies. This time, it was my fault to recognize your relationship with the King of Hell. I deserve death to offend you. As long as Miss Shiyu can let me go, I'm willing to offer my precious medicinal pills that I keep for my whole life. And those battle puppets I made, if Miss Shiyu wants, I can give them all to you. Please let me go for this time. Mr. Liao took his words for granted, but Heshi's face became more and more sinister. In the eyes of these beasts, mortals and low-level martial artists were nobodies who could be trampled and tortured freely by him. However, they did not expect that they would be the nobodies and animals under the feet of the other one day. It was better to be dead rather than living. The corner of Heshi's mouth slowly evoked a charming arc. Even if Mr. Liao's situation was so miserable now, he was still attracted by her charm. He kept swallowing his saliva. He heard Heshi saying slowly, just rest assured, I won't kill you. Mr. Liao breathed a sigh of relief, then he had a lot of bad ideas in his mind. His cultivation methods was different from the other martial artists. If the other martial artists' bodies were destroyed and their pelvic bones were crushed, they would definitely be screwed. But who was this Liao Qingfu? He was best in making puppet. Even if his body was ruined, he only needed to make a puppet and put his soul in, then he could still walk freely and play with those beautiful men and women. It was just that his cultivation would forever be stuck at the puppet's cultivation forever after transferring his soul. However, as long as he found a puppet that had powerful cultivation, would he be able to live at ease. When he successfully transferred his soul, he would definitely get this chick and play with her. Such a beautiful girl, and she is still the sweetheart of His Royal Highness King of Hell. I wonder what is the taste of pressing her underneath me, ha ha ha. Mr. Liao's mind was rippling, but Heshi suddenly reached out and sprinkled some powder on him. Mr. Liao's face changed. He thought she was poisoning him, so he suddenly screamed, what do you want to do? I tell you, if you poison me, it won't do you any good. Mr. Liao shouted for a long time, but Heshi just smiled faintly without giving any response. Mr. Liao froze and found out that after those powders were spilled on his body, instead of feeling pain and itching, he felt a lot of relief in the severed limbs. He suddenly overjoyed and sneered, Miss Shiyu, I'm really glad that you can be so sensible and considerate. But before he finished speaking, Heshi spoke to Little Golden Dragon, find a good place for him, and remember that it must be a quiet and nourishing place. I don't want him to die so soon. Little Golden Dragon smiled, and he looked at Mr. Liao's eyes full of strangeness and excitement. Boss, please rest assured. When did I fail to execute the task that you gave? But you are really amazing, boss. Why do you have so many strange medicines on your hand? You have all kinds of herbs. I never thought that there would be this drug in the sky. Well, if it were because we can't stay in Breaking Spirit Mountain for a long time, I really wanted to stay here and see the end of this scum. Heshi patted his little head, stop the flattery. If you want to learn, I can teach you how to configure and use these poisons when I am free. Woohoo, thank you, boss. Little Golden Dragon flew into the sky delightedly after hearing it, then he dived down from a high altitude, grabbed the crippled body of Mr. Liao. Boss, let me find a good place for him to rest. Until then, Mr. Liao's eyes finally showed a look of fear. He couldn't understand the meaning of the woman's conversation with her pet, but he knew that he might have a miserable end. When he was brought into the air by Little Golden Dragon, Mr. Liao couldn't help but shouted in horror and angrily, Shiyu, you shameless bitch. It is your honor to let me play. When I'm free, I will turn you into a puppet and let you crawl on the ground like a dog. Shiyu, if you kill me, my master, Black Law Protector will not forgive you. The Feng family will not forgive you either. She sneered. She didn't look at the disgusting scum anymore. She turned and walked away. Feng family, either you die or I die. I am waiting for you. Little Golden Dragon grabbed Mr. Liao's body and flew to many places. He finally found a mountain crack with a length of hundreds of feet. The crack was deep, but it was very narrow. It could only allow one person to pass. It looked dark and gloomy down there, not even the sunlight could reach. One could know that it was a humid and cold place down there by just looking down. Little Golden Dragon suddenly laughed. He finally found a satisfactory place. He grabbed Mr. Liao's dive and flew down the crack. When he was about to land, he released his claw and threw Mr. Liao's crippled body down. When Mr. Liao was thrown, he suddenly screamed miserably. His body was desperately trying to struggle. Then he found in horror that he was stuck in the mountain, he could not move. Little Golden Dragon hovered in the air and looked down at him. He sighed, this is really a good place. You can't see the sun, but there is a thin layer of spirit. You can't die even if you want to die. It's so far from the ground, and the mountain crack is so small. Even the magical beast can't get down. As long as I simply set up a soundproof enchantment, I believe that no one will find you here for thousands of years. Mr. Liao's eyes were full of panic, and he trembled. What do you mean? You left me here, what do you want to do? I warn you, if I'm dead, my master will know. My master is an expert of the nascent soul stage, he will never let you go. Ha ha ha, Little Golden Dragon laughed when he heard it. You can rest assured, you will not be dead. My boss has told me that it's too easy for you to die so easily. Do you want to know what boss had sprinkled on you? You will know very soon. As Mr. Liao wanted to say something, he suddenly heard a rustling noise in his ear. The sound was dense as if it was coming from the ground, and it also seemed to come from the crack in the mountain, then it approached him in a hurry. Mr. Liao's body was stiff for a while. He slowly turned his head and looked to the side as if his head was stuck. Then, he saw a scene that terrified his heart. Countless bugs emerged from the ground and between the mountain walls and crawled toward him rapidly. Mr. Liao's eyes widened in horror. His mouth was widened, then he watched the bugs dig into his eyes, ears, and nose. "Aw!" The shrilling scream resounded in the deep valley. Little Golden Dragon covered his ears. He said annoyingly, "You are so noisy, useless thing. When you torture other little girls and boys, don't you think their screams are good? Don't you enjoy their look of despair? Why, now it's your turn, shouldn't you feel happy and enjoy it?" The miserable scream lasted for 5 minutes. Those bugs that appeared out of nowhere suddenly disappeared like a tide as if they had received a command. At this time, Mr. Liao's face full of biting flesh and blood. He was already out of breath. However, the thin spiritual power under the mountain began to enter his body, repairing his fatal wounds. It allowed him to be sober to endure the pain and suffering, but he could not die. Little Golden Dragon said with a laughter, "How? Boss medicine is powerful. At 12 hours every day, your body will emit a fragrance that attracts insects and ants for 5 minutes every hour. After 5 minutes, it will become the fragrant that the insects hate the most. This can ensure that you will be suffering for every moment, but you can't die." No, please, forgive, Mr. Liao's voice was husky. The panic in his eyes turned into tears and despair. Please kill me. The smile on Little Golden Dragon's face suddenly became cold. He smirked, "When the people you tortured begged for your mercy, did you spare them? Now in this dark and humid ground where you can't see the sun, you can feel the despair and torture they once experienced, feel their curse and resentment. Finally, there is another sentence that my boss wants me to bring to you. There are karma and justice in this world. Do you think God will spare a perverted scum like you? As little golden dragon finished speaking, he quickly set up a soundproof enchantment in the valley, then he flew away from this place leisurely. He couldn't wait to go back to his boss. He was afraid that he would spit out the monster essence pill he consumed for taking another glance at this scum. Under the crack, Mr. Liao just felt that the screaming and crying of those girls and boys constantly resounded in his ears. Then, the ferocious and malicious faces constantly appeared in front of him. Each of them was bruised and crippled. They were stretching out their bone-like claws toward him, asking him to pay his life. Ah! Mr. Liao screamed miserably and passed out. However, his journey to hell was far from over. In Breaking Spirit Mountain, Heshi re-examined the injuries on her body. She found that Nangong Yu used some kind of method that she didn't know, and those internal injuries that took at least half a month to recover were now almost recovered. Purple Abyss Vine was also nourished by Yin-Yang Lotus Jade, slowly recovering as before. Now the main vine was bustling with life, and it did not look deprived like a few days ago. Heshi breathed a sigh of relief. She decided to enter the Fourth Order Magical Beast area. After all, she might still meet the pervert Feng Yunjing here. Feng Yunjing was not what she could handle now. To go to enchantment, she naturally had to pass by where Feng Lianying and Nie Jinchen were now. Heshi let Little Egg completely hide his spiritual power, and used light steps to reach the border between the rank 5 magical beast and the rank 4 magical beast area. From a distance, she heard Feng Lianying's moaning and the man's rough roar. There was a sneer in the corner of Heshi's mouth, but she didn't bother looking at them. She went straight through the enchantment of the rank 4 magical beast area. Most of the martial artists from Breaking Spirit Mountain were all disciples of the famous sect. Therefore, they rarely went to the black market, where a place specially prepared for non-martial artists. Therefore, no one here knew that the video of Feng Lianying having sexual intercourse was spread to the entire Miluo continent. However, the people of Feng family and the major families in Breaking Spirit Mountain would also see this video soon. How ugly would Feng family's face look like by that time? Thinking of Nangong Yu who did all this for her, Heshi was a little worried. She knew that Nangong Yu must be doing something very important, but no matter how she asked, Nangong Yu would only tell that there was nothing more important than her. Nangong Yu, whose his clone has returned to the original body, is he all right? However, Heshi, who was worried about Nangong Yu, didn't know that Nangong Yu was stepping on a pool of blood on the ground now. He was looking at the corpse across the square in the sect with a sinister smile. Everyone who looked at him at this moment had only one thought in their mind: this person is a devil. However, the Azure Dragon who followed Nangong Yu could see his feeble state and pale face at a glance. Master actually cast a clone and tear through space to save the princess. This is really for the princess. Never mind the plan and revenge, he doesn't even care about his life. Azure Dragon clenched his hand tightly. He lowered his voice after a while: Master, are you all right? Nangong Yu didn't answer him, but he just said lightly, how is the Wugo's progress over there? After hearing Nangong Yu's mention of the matter, Azure Dragon no longer dared to think wildly. He said quickly, Wugo will breach this 9-turn Earth mysterious array in about 5 minutes. Azure Dragon and Nangong Yu didn't lower their voices at all when discussing this. The martial artists, who initially looked terrified, looked despair when they heard this. Suddenly, a white-bearded old man stepped out and yelled at Nangong Yu, I didn't expect you to be such an ungrateful animal. Both the Feng family and Luli sect treat you well, and our patriarch even saved your life. Not only you are not grateful, you even requite kindness with enmity, trying to eliminate Luli sect. Nangong Yu, aren't you afraid of suffering divine retribution and ending up being thundered to death by the sky? Saved me. Nangong Yu smirked, his eyes were cold and indifferent. His gaze on them was as if he was looking at death corpse. Elder Feng, you know better than anyone whether Feng family is my benefactor or enemy. You really thought I was ignorant at that time, so you could use a few lies to coax me? Hee hee, or did you tell too many lies that you think they are true? The bearded elder man called Elder Feng's face suddenly changed. He stumbled and stepped back, then he spoke in a trembled, you bullshit, what enemy? You, don't simply find a reason for being ungrateful. Nangong Yu looked at him coldly like he was looking at a clown. I originally wanted to let you live a little longer, but you did something that you shouldn't touch the person that I care the most. Since you are digging your own grave, then don't blame me for counting the old and new hatred together. Elder Feng was trembling under Nangong Yu's terrifying Shura-like eyes, then he screamed, You! Nangong Yu, do you know the consequences of doing this today? How dare you kill so many disciples of Luli sect? The Feng family will never let you go. Nangong Yu raised his eyebrows slightly. His handsome face looked extraordinarily fine and charming under the bloody sunset. It was a face that could turn people upside down. But at the moment, Luli's sect disciple only felt that he was more horrible than devil. Feng family won't let me go. Nangong Yu chuckled leisurely, then, I will kill you all, and don't let Feng family know for the time being, wouldn't that be fine? Wait until I eliminate Feng family in the future, you all can reunite in hell. I won't be late to complain to the Feng family by then. The mountain where Luli's sect was isolated by Wugo's enchantment, no sound or information could be transmitted. When Nangong Yu sneaked into Luli's sect, he chose the magical beast forest that nobody else would ever think of. So, as long as Luli's sect's people were completely killed, it was impossible for anyone to know that Nangong Yu eliminated Luli's sect. Yu Nangong Yu, you are going too far. Elder Feng was so angry that the muscle and beard on his face trembled, then he roared, You really think that you can destroy Luli's sect with you Nangong Yu alone? Stop dreaming. Luli sect is one of the 4 major sections. Even if you are very talented, you are only at the intermediate level of the nascent soul stage. I don't believe that we can't beat you if all of us will join forces. As soon as Elder Feng spoke, he rose into the sky. He immediately broke out of the range of Luli sect's mountain guard array. At the same time, there were 3 men of the initial of nascent soul stage flying together with him. The 3 men surrounded Nangong Yu, and they all stirred up with their spiritual power. Their faces were full of ghastly murderous intentions. Just when the 3 were about to make a move, an excited voice suddenly came from not far away, Master, 9-turn Earth mysterious array is breached. Before the words were finished, the light shield that was surrounding the whole sect trembled and disappeared without a trace. A cold, bloodthirsty smile evoked at the corner of Nangong Yu's mouth. He raised his hand that was long, fair and well-proportioned joint. Then, he waved leisurely, kill dash. It was just a short word, but the mountain shook and the weather changed instantly. Countless martial artists wearing black armor came out from all directions with a murderous vibe. They were charging at panic Luli sect's disciple. Luli sect's disciple's face was full of astonishment and fear. Their hands that were holding magic weapons were shaking. The arrays they cast were disrupted. Their eyes were full of disbelief. They were Luli sect, one of the 4 major sects in the world. Everyone was so respectful toward their disciples. They couldn't wait to kneel and curry favor with them. Outside the sect, there was a powerful 9-turn Earth mysterious array. There were also several nascent soul stage elders protecting it, and there were countless gold core stage martial artists. They never thought that one day, Luli's sect would be breached, and the 9-turn Earth mysterious array would be broken. And they, Luli sect's disciples, who were always high above, would become a lamb slaughtered by others. When Nangong Yu shouted, kill, except fear, there was only despair left in them. People wearing black armor were more like trained soldiers than martial artists. Their steps were adjusted uniformly, and their move was swift. As soon as they rushed into Luli sect's gate, they swung their swords and started slaughtering. That was the king of Hell Mansion's most powerful elite, Miluo Continent's most fearsome army Iron Kirin. In just a moment of few breaths, Luli's sect was filled with blood. People were mourning everywhere. More corpses were lying on the stairs and the gate. Their blood was staining all the blue stone brick on the square. When the three elders who besieged Nan Gongyu in mid-air saw the tragic state of their disciples, they were so furious that their eyes were filled with blood. Mad hatred and murderous intention made the spiritual power around them surged out desperately. Nan Gongyu, you dare to destroy my Luli sect's mountain guard array, kill my Luli sect's disciple. I will definitely tear you into pieces. Elder Feng's eyes were red. He suddenly took out a red medical pill, crushed the shell desperately, and swallowed the scary little bug inside. The old man standing next to Elder Feng couldn't help but exclaim, "This is the spirit-burning voodoo that can inspire potential." Elder Feng, you take this spirit voodoo. Even if you win, you will be consumed by spiritual voodoo. By that time, not only your cultivation will be greatly reduced, it will even lead to the destruction of Dantian and death. After Elder Feng swallowed the spiritual voodoo, the turbulent spiritual power of the whole body suddenly skyrocketed. In the blink of an eye, his cultivation suddenly rose from the initial of the nascent soul stage to advanced level. Elder Feng looked at Nan Gongyu and laughed wildly, "Nan Gongyu, you ungrateful dog. We Feng family let you live previously because we thought that you still have value. If you obediently do your king of hell and let Feng family utilize you obediently, maybe you can live well. But you just don't know how to do what's good for you, thinking that you can compete with the Feng family with your little strength? Don't dream. Even if I give up my life, I must kill you, this sinister beast here, to eliminate the trouble of Feng family." Nan Gongyu looked at him quietly without any fluctuation on his face. His eyes were full of disdain. "You want to kill me here? Elder Feng, are you overreaching yourself? You are just at the intermediate level of the nascent soul stage. I have now used the spirit-burning voodoo to stimulate my potential. I will soon reach the peak of the nascent soul stage. Together with my two disciples' help, Nan Gongyu, do you really think that you can win?" Elder Feng yelled. The spiritual power on his body increased even more as time passed. "Nan Gongyu, I will now kill you. When the Iron Kirin loses the King of Hell, they will be a bunch of trash. They can only be trampled by our Feng family, ha ha ha." Nan Gongyu looked calm and didn't answer his words, but he slowly pulled out a cyan flying sword from the storage ring. As soon as this flying sword appeared, a dragon roar seemed to resound through the sky. The surrounding azure dragon and others looked difficult as they were originally suppressed by the spirit pressure of Elder Feng, but this dragon roar made them feel ease. When Elder Feng and others saw the cyan flying sword in the hands of Nan Gongyu, they suddenly panicked and shouted in shock, "Sealed! Sealed dragon sword, how is it possible? How could Feng Long's sword be in your hands? Is that, the one who got sealed dragon domain's secret territory is you?" Nan Gongyu didn't bother the shouts of these people, he just held the cyan flying sword in front of himself and dropped a gentle kiss on the cold sword body. This was what Shi'er gave him. That little girl is always duplicity, stubborn and persistent, but in fact, she cares about me from the beginning. Whether she cured his poison at the King of Hell mansion, got angry in the sealed dragon territory because of Feng Lianying, and had a rare and fragile attachment to him in the Breaking Spirit Mountain, it all made him so touched and affectionate. Soon, he could return to the little girl, guard her forever, and spoil her. Let her be his wife. Nan Gongyu lifted his head, the pirated version of the sealed dragon sword was whistling in the sky. All of a sudden, thundercloud gathered and a wild wind approached. Elder Feng's face was extremely ugly, but he shouted, "Even if he has the sealed dragon sword, he can't control the sword now, let alone, we are three people. How can we not win him? Let's do it together and kill Nan Gongyu. The Feng family won't treat you unfairly afterward." The two elders of Luli sect regained their consciousness. They immediately took out their magic weapon and charged at Nan Gongyu. Just before the three men hit him, Nan Gongyu's figure suddenly flickered and disappeared without a trace. The three were startled. Suddenly, the youngest elder sensed danger in his heart, exclaiming, I lost contact with my magic weapons." Before he finished speaking, he felt a cold breath behind him. He turned back suddenly, and there was already a thunderbolt pearl in his hand. But before he activated it, he felt that coldness in his dantian, then all his spiritual power leaked out as if a bottle had cracked an opening. The elder stared in horror, looking at the handsome face near him. His body was trembling like a sieve. He reached out and tried to grab Nan Gongyu's neck, but his body fell down uncontrollably. At an altitude of tens of meters, without the protection of spiritual power, the elder fell to the ground and instantly became a meat sauce. When Elder Feng saw this unexpected change, he felt that a mouthful of blood was stuck on his chest, and his heart was painful like convulsions. Nan Gongyu, you even killed fellow disciple Chen. I will kill you. However, before he finished speaking, Nan Gongyu's mouth again sneered like Shura. He fluttered, and he appeared behind the gray-haired elder this time. The elder had been prepared for a long time. His body suddenly glowed with a dazzling red light, and he launched the spiral dart in his hand straight at Nan Gongyu. However, he was fast, but Nan Gongyu was faster than him. The sealed dragon sword, which was originally high in the sky, suddenly whistled down and easily parried the elder's spiral dart lightly. Immediately, a cold, slender hand strangled his throat, making him unable to breathe. The elder wanted to sneer. He was a martial artist and even a nascent soul stage martial artist. As long as he could absorb spiritual power, as long as his nascent soul's still alive, never mind he couldn't breathe, he wouldn't die even if his heart stopped. But soon, he couldn't laugh. Because he found that his body seemed to be imprisoned by a cold evil power. All his spiritual power could not be channeled, and he couldn't even try to channel his nascent soul. But how is this possible? How? No one can do it, and no cultivation method can do it, even the peak of the nascent soul stage is impossible. No. There is someone in the legend of the Miluo continent, there is a kind of spiritual power that is the nemesis of all other spiritual powers and cultivation methods. Dark spiritual power. The elder's eyes widened in horror as he looked incredulously at the young, overly handsome man. How is this possible? Nan Gongyu is only 20 years old. How is this possible? This was his last thought, and then a bone-snapping sound came into his ear, and his consciousness fell into coma eternally. Elder Feng couldn't believe his eyes. He thought that the three nascent soul stage martial artists should have the advantage when facing Nan Gongyu. But in just 2 moves, Nan Gongyu actually killed his 2 fellow disciples. How can that be? Isn't he only the intermediate level of the nascent soul stage? Elder Feng roared hysterically, and hurriedly charged at Nan Gongyu with a glazed lamp. Sealed dragon sword was making a buzzing dragon roar. It made a violent hum when it was colliding with the glazed lamp. After a moment of colliding, the glazed lamps shattered and scattered, leaving no fragments, but sealed dragon sword returned to Nan Gongyu's hands in an unharmed condition. Nan Gongyu's figure flickered, and he appeared before Elder Feng. He could end his life by extending his hand. No. I'm not willing. Elder Feng growled angrily. I must not let the Feng family face such a threat. Even if I lose my soul and spirit today, I would perish together with you. As soon as Elder Feng spoke, the nascent soul in his dantian erupted suddenly in a dazzling light. Not good. He wants to self-destruct his nascent soul. Azure Dragon exclaimed, Master retreats quickly. Elder Feng's body lit up with intense light as he quickly retreated. He laughed out loud, Nan Gongyu, you can't stop me anymore. As long as my nascent soul explodes, the circle of hundreds of miles will be flattened. You and your men will not survive. You all die. Nan Gongyu looked at the old man with a sneer and sarcasm. Elder Feng's body figure that was retreating rapidly stagnated. He didn't know what he bumped into. Before he had time to look back, there was a sharp pain after feeling a coldness at his back. Something penetrated into his dantian, and then the force firmly held his nascent soul that was about to burst. The next moment, something that stunned everyone happened. One Nan Gongyu, who was sneering, was standing in front of Elder Feng. Another Nangong Yu was grasping his nascent soul at his back. 2 Nangong Yu surrounded Elder Feng at the front and back. The nascent soul that was about to explode could no longer be active, as if it was suppressed by some kind of power. Elder Feng's eyes were widened. His eyes were red and filled with terror. No, this is impossible. Why do you have a clone, and why can you prevent nascent soul from exploding? You, what is your actual strength? What cultivation method do you learn? Nangong Yu in front of him smiled faintly. Don't your Feng family always have someone to monitor me, and investigate my movement and strength anytime and anywhere? Why haven't you figured out my strength yet? You. Nangong Yu, have you always been hiding your strength? Elder Feng's voice was hoarse and horrified. You are guarding the Feng family since the beginning. Nangong Yu, how much do you know? You, what do you want to do? Hee, how much do I know? Nangong Yu chuckled. I know everything that I shouldn't know, and I knew it a long time ago. As for what I want to do. Nangong Yu suddenly took back his smile and turned into a spine-chilling expression. I just want to kill all those who threaten her. I said that. I wanted to allow you guys to live for a while. After all, it's not good for me to fight with Feng family so early. However, you provoked someone that you shouldn't. Now, you, all die for me. As soon as the words were spoken, the hand holding nascent soul tightened suddenly. A crack sound could be heard. The powerful nascent soul that was bursting was shattered by a dark force. Ah! Nangong Yu, my superior will know what you did. Nangong Yu, you can't run. The Feng family will not let you go, my superior is even so. Nangong Yu, you can't live for long. The Nangong Yu who crushed nascent soul's body shook, dissipated in the air, and the fundamental essence returned to its original body. Nangong Yu retrieved his sealed dragon sword and landed slowly from the sky. As soon as he landed, he turned pale and squirted blood. Master! Azure Dragon, Wu Yu, Wu Go, and the others rushed anxiously to help Nangong Yu. Master, are you okay? Wu Yu was turning in circles anxiously. Master, you used the clone of fundamental essence twice continuously, and you are injured trying to prevent the nascent soul from self-destructing. Now there is no doctor here. What should I do? Wu Go was also anxious that he broke into sweat. He couldn't help but said, Master, how can you transfigure your clone and tear through space at such a critical moment? If there is any accident, never mind, utterly failed our plan, even Master's life is possible. Nangong Yu wiped off the blood at the corner of his mouth, and indifferently took out a Bodhi fruit and a lotus pattern peach from the storage ring. His tone was cold and indifferent. Since when you can judge my decision? I dare not. Nangong Yu swallowed both the Bodhi fruit and the lotus pattern peach. The pain in the body was suddenly better, and the exhausted spiritual power was completely replenished. Seeing his face looked a lot better, Azure Dragon wiped the sweat from his face. He secretly decided that he must teach Wu Xing, this useless thing, a lesson when they were back. I let him protect the princess, but how did he protect her? Every time the master had to rush to the rescue her. Even the master's plan was almost ruined by it. Fortunately, the plan went well this time, but what about next time? It seems that master really loves the princess as himself. Now, he even eliminated Luli's sect for the princess in advance. For the sake of the master's safety, we still find some ways to protect our noble princess. Nangong Yu adjusted his breath for a moment, then got up and looked at the silent Luli's sect that only had the smell of blood. He sneered, Azure Dragon, did you clean it all up? Report to the master, I have cleaned it up. There is no survivor. I also let Iron Kirin to clear the traces left by us. Nangong Yu nodded. Let's go. I believe that the destruction of Luli's sect will give Feng family a headache for a while. Azure Dragon nodded quickly, following the steps of Nangong Yu, and led the Iron Kirin to lurk into the magical beast forest again. Before leaving, Azure Dragon couldn't help looking back. The big sects who had been surrounded by the fairy air now had only a bloody death silence. On the beams of Sex Hall, several crows had fallen on it. It was like they smelled the rotten smell of the corpse and they were waiting for a meal. Luli sect. This was the Luli sect, one of the 4 major gates of Miluo continent. They perished silently in the hands of the king of Hell Mansion. Azure Dragon smiled slightly, turning his head to look at Nangong Yu's eyes full of fiery and adore. He no longer stopped his footsteps and followed up in a hurry. The sun rose, the evening of the breaking spirit mountain fades away, and the daylight covered the mountain again. All night passed, even the recording talisman was burned out, but the outdoor sex party was not over yet. When the sun shone on this land, one could see undulating figures hiding in the hills. It was occasionally accompanied by fiery moans. Ouyang Haoshuan's body landed in this area. Before he could search for the familiar figure, he felt a thick and disgusting obscene breath, mixing with a bloody smell. He walked past the corpses and found that they were all gold core stage cultivators, and they were wearing Luli sect disciple costumes. As he walked past the corpses, the hoarse moan of the woman and the roar of pain and joy by men became clearer and closer. Thinking of Shi Yu's call for help last night, Ouyang Haoshuan's heart froze as he frowned. What is going on here? Could it be that Shi Yu encountered something unexpected? Thinking of this, Ouyang Haoshuan no longer stayed. He hurried forward and removed away the grass that covered those bodies. In the weeds, 2 or 3 men were lingering with a woman. The 3 men looked disgustingly ugly, but the woman had a beautiful face, but at this time, her original fairy temperament was replaced by lust. She was covered with marks that were left by men. However, she seemed to feel unsatisfied. She kept holding the 2 men on her body, making hoarse moans, and kept saying, "So comfortable, not enough, not enough." Ouyang Haoshuan recognized the true face of the woman at a glance. Isn't that Feng Lianying who once framed Shi Yu for murdering in breaking Spirit Mountain Palace? Humph. What Ice Lotus Fairy, pretty and innocent jade girl, and the high-profile daughter of the Feng family, now it seems that she is obviously a shameless lascivious girl. Several bodies were lying beside Feng Lianying. They were all ugly-looking men. However, at this time they looked skinny as if they were drained by some kind of succubus and they turned into a dead body. This is clearly the miserable result after man's essence being drained by woman. Ouyang Haoshuan's eyes glanced over Feng Lianying and the 3 men on her body. Sure enough, Feng Lianying was getting more and more excited, but the 3 men already had sunken eye sockets as if their vitality would be drained until empty at any time. The daughter of the Feng family, the young master of the Luli sect, actually cultivated such an evil cultivation method. She sucked man's essence by selling out her beauty. This was simply disgusting. Ouyang Haoshuan didn't want to watch this disgusting scene that made him sick for even looking at it for a minute. He turned around as he was about to leave. Suddenly, there was another man with a naked torso in the grass. Ouyang Haoshuan also knew this man too. He was Nie Jinchen, the head disciple of Luli sect. Nie Jinchen's gloomy eyes glanced at the entangled men and women, then he looked at Ouyang Haoshuan and smiled lowly. "How long does young master Ouyang want to watch here? Do you also want to taste the Ice Lotus Fairy?" Ouyang Haoshuan showed an extremely disgusted expression. He said coldly, "You all are doing such a disgusting thing, why are you afraid of being seen by others?" Nie Jinchen laughed, "Not anyone can have a taste of the miss of the Feng family. This is a unique opportunity. Don't young master Ouyang want to try it? Rest assured, you are a gold core stage, so you won't be drained to death like this scum. See, am I not fine?" When Nie Jinchen said this sentence, it was full of temptation, like he was sharing a magic weapon. Ouyang Haoshuan was even more disgusted, as if he would vomit for taking one more glance. Such a dirty and shameless woman. If you like it, keep it for yourself. After speaking, he turned and left quickly without speaking more with Nie Jinchen. "I didn't see Shi Yu here. It seems she is out of danger." Ouyang Haoshuan's spiritual power was injected into the black stone, and he was found that the black stone was still pointing in the same direction. From this point of view, that direction led to the rank 4 magical beast area. Ouyang Haoshuan no longer hesitated. He quickly crossed the enchantment and entered the rank 4 magical beast area. Nie Jinchen, who stayed in place, held the recording talisman that was already recorded in his hand, and he revealed a vicious smile. Ouyang Haoshuan followed the instructions of the black stone and quickly came over a valley. However, when he looked into the valley, he was frightened and revealed a terrified expression. He saw in the hundreds of square meters of the valley, there were more than a dozen rank 4 magical beasts surrounding a fragile young man. Those magical beasts were ferocious. Their spiritual power was pulsating. There were even loud roars from time to time. The young man trapped in the middle was slender. He had dark hair. His skin was as white as snow under the sun and as delicate as jade. From the perspective of Ouyang Haoshuan, he can see the faint smile on his mouth, the beautiful and delicate eyebrows, and the slender neck. The young man looked so delicate and so cowardly as if he would be torn into pieces at any time. But his eyes were so calm as if the dozen magical beasts in front of him were just ants that he could kill at any time. Ouyang Haoshuan took a cool breath and then breathed a sigh of relief. This young man was obviously Shiyu. Fortunately, he arrived immediately, otherwise he might see his body being torn by magical beast. Ouyang Haoshuan was about to jump down to rescue him, but saw that the boy who had stood up suddenly moved. Purple vines rose into the sky, extending toward the magical beast that surrounded her in all directions. Immediately afterward, Li Shui's sword was launched. He gently made the first strike, the second strike, the third strike. The next moment, Ouyang Haoshuan was shocked. Countless swords rained from the sky like a countless meteor. They curved through the sky, bringing a chilling sword energy and killing intention. The purple vines entangled the bodies of those magical beasts, preventing them from escaping and making any moves. Shwa, 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 wherever the sword lights rained, there were corpses of the magical beasts. Flesh and blood were everywhere. The magical beast's heart-piercing miserable roar sounded again and again in the valley. In just a short period of time, there was no living magical beast in this valley anymore. There was only the young man who had the smell of blood, but he wasn't stained by the blood, which made up a sharp contrast. Ouyang Haoshuan held her breath tightly. He could hardly believe his eyes. That was a dozen rank 4 magical beasts. Even if it were him, he couldn't kill all of them so swiftly and easily. And this young man in front of him was just the Foundation Establishment stage. Foundation Establishment stage, he killed more than a dozen rank 4 magical beasts on his own. Who would believe in it? In the valley, Heshi, who was about to collect the magical beast monster essence pill, seemed to feel something. She suddenly looked up in the direction of Ouyang Haoshuan, and she said coldly, "Who is it? Show yourself." Ouyang Haoshuan suddenly woke up and quickly channeled his spiritual power, slowly falling from the top of the mountain into the valley. Heshi saw the appearance of the person. She immediately dispelled her alert and nodded at him, "Young Master Ouyang, why are you here?" Ouyang Haoshuan took out the black stone with a guilty expression on his face. "Young Master Shi, I received your plea for help the day before yesterday, but at that time, in order to avoid a few mysterious people who was tracking me, I got into the forbidden enchantment of the Breaking Spirit Mountain. I couldn't get out for quite some time. I was so anxious in the array at that time. I managed to break the prohibition in the early hours of this morning, so I hurried in. Fortunately, young Master Shi, you are all right, otherwise I really..." Heshi smiled. Her eyes showed a little grateful expression. She said lightly, "Young Master Ouyang, you don't need to be bothered by it. I asked you for help because I was accidentally sent into the rank 5 magical beast area. I was afraid I couldn't handle it, so I contacted you. As for young Master Ouyang, you came to this rank 4 magical beast area for me. Not only your strength will be deprived by the prohibition, it may even affect your big hunting match results. I'm safe here now. Why don't young Master Ouyang go back now? Ouyang Haoshuan quickly shook his head and said, No, I didn't come here for the sake of getting more places in the match. I just wanted to experience it. It didn't make much difference for me to be in the rank 4 magical beast area or the rank 5 magical beast area. What's more, I don't know if the mysterious people who followed me are still in the rank 5 magical beast area. If they are still looking for me, then I would be safer in this rank 4 magical beast area. Heshi raised his eyebrows when he heard the words and wondered, mysterious men were following you? Do you know who they are? I don't know. Ouyang Haoshuan frowned. His eyes like dim jades revealed a hint of coldness. But I can feel that they have bad intentions, and their cultivation is very high. Most of them are at the advanced stage of the gold core stage. Especially the leader among them, I couldn't even detect his cultivation level. I felt that something was off at the time, so I used the martial artists who teleported with me to cover me up and finally hid in the prohibition of the Breaking Spirit Mountain. Ouyang Haoshuan squinted his eyes and said slowly, because my father is the person in charge of this competition, I am familiar with the prohibition and enchantment of the Breaking Spirit Mountain main peak. That was why I could escape by chance. Those people seemed to be sure that they could catch me. If it weren't for the terrifying prohibition of the Breaking Spirit Mountain, I would have fallen into their hands. Heshi frowned. Do you know why they want to catch you? It definitely won't be a good thing, Ouyang Haoshuan sneered. I heard one of them say that if they can't complete the mission and they can't catch me alive, they will be whipped until they get cramped when they go back. Heshi suddenly remembered what happened to Ouyang Haoshuan, and she could not help asking, could it be the same group of people who severed your meridians in the magical beast forest? It shouldn't be. Ouyang Haoshuan shook his head. The person who set me up in magical beast forest didn't have high cultivation, but the poisons he carried were extremely rare. In addition, he bought my cousin off and conspired against me. I only fell into his trap because of that. However, whether it is the person who set me up in the magical beast forest or the person who wants to catch me in Breaking Spirit Mountain now, if they think that Ouyang Haoshuan is as weak as that day, then I am afraid they will be disappointed. As these words were spoken, the light in Ouyang Haoshuan's eyes was glittering as if it had a terrifying coldness. There was a dark and gloomy breath on his entire body. How could he be the facile and graceful young master in Yanjing City? It seemed that 1 year when his meridians were broken still had a huge impact on him. However, when Ouyang Haoshuan's gaze fell on Heshi Qingjuan's beautiful face, his original gloomy expression immediately became soft and gentle. Young Master Shi, let me not talk about it first. You were teleported into the rank 5 magical beast area by mistake, so you shouldn't have hunted any magical beasts. I still have some monster essence pills here. Why not I give it to you? Having said that, without waiting for Heshi's refutation, Ouyang Haoshuan quickly took out a dozen monster essence pills of the rank 5 magical beasts and handed them to Heshi. Heshi quickly shook her head. No, I already have monster essence pill. Keep it for yourself. Ouyang Haoshuan smiled. Although I hid in the prohibition, there were also many magical beasts went in mistakenly, so I have a lot of monster essence pill myself. Moreover, I am really not interested in the prize of big hunting match, but I know that young Master Shi, you are interested in it. Seeing that Heshi wanted to refuse, Ouyang Haoshuan grabbed her hand and put the dozen monster essence pills into Heshi's palm. It's good for you. Young Master Shi, please don't reject me. Heshi froze. She actually wanted to say that she now had dozens of rank 5 monster essence pills in her storage ring. But seeing Ouyang Haoshuan's sincere expression, she still kept the monster essence pills. She couldn't always tell Ouyang Haoshuan that she got a lot of monster essence pills in the rank 5 magical beast area, right? She should just find another opportunity to return this kindness in the future. When Ouyang Haoshuan originally held Heshi's small hand, he only felt that her hand was soft and smooth with a gentle and delicate touch. The slender 5-finger figures were like carved from white jade. When he pinched her palm, it felt like her palm was so soft that he couldn't feel her bone, and he could feel the temperature increase as he touched it. Yang Haoshuan's heart was rippling as he looked up. He just felt that the young man's eyes were bright and gorgeous, and his lips were pinky. His pair of eyes was clear like the river in autumn, and it could snatch one's heart. Until He received the monster essence pill and retracted her hand. Feeling the touch and temperature lost in the palm of his hand, Yang Haoshuan only felt a loss in his heart. He wished to grab the white jade-like hand back and put it into his palm. He returned to the corpse pile of magical beast to collect monster essence pill, and let purple abyss vines suck enough blood. As she was about to ask Yang Haoshuan to move together, she turned back and saw that Yang Haoshuan was astounded on the spot. His pair of dark jade eyes were stunned looking at her, but it also seemed like he was spaced out as he was looking at nothing. "Young Master Ouyang? Young Master Ouyang?" He called several times in a row before Yang Haoshuan slammed back, and his cheeks turned red. He gave a low cough and covered his embarrassment, then he only spoke casually, "Shiyu, we have a friendship at the very least, please stop calling me Young Master Ouyang. Call me Haoshuan instead." He responded casually with an "oh." She wasn't interested in what to address. "Let's go." Watching the slender back of the young man walking in front of him, and the dark and soft hair fluttered lightly, Yang Haoshuan recollected his mind. He suppressed the peculiar state in his mind and quickly followed up. This time the two walked up the main peak. Because the main peak was steep and high, there were very few martial artists encountered on the way, but there were more and more magical beasts. But for He, the more magical beasts, the happier she was. This area only had rank 4 magical beasts. She was more than enough to deal with it by herself. Now, with the help of Yang Haoshuan, it went very smoothly. The magical beasts on the peak were so terrified that they didn't dare to come out. Yang Haoshuan had seen He's strength while in the valley. However, along the way, he was horrified to watch He showing his sword skills that were better than the gold core stage martial artists and harvesting a bunch of magical beasts in his hand. Shiyu is only at the foundation establishment stage. How can he defeat a group of rank 4 magical beasts? This is impossible no matter how. And, if I remember it right, Shiyu was just an ordinary person who couldn't use spiritual power a few months ago. At the time, she was still using Nangong Yu's spiritual power to help me cure the poison. But in just a few months, her strength was close to the peak of the meridian stage. Such a speed of advancing made Yang Haoshuan startled. Yang Haoshuan didn't know that this was even the result of He hiding his strength. If Yang Haoshuan knew that He could beat up an intermediate-level gold core stage martial artist with his full force, Yang Haoshuan's jaw would be dropping. After a year and a half being laughed by people after his meridians were severed, Yang Haoshuan's heart was filled with a thick darkness. Apart from his parents, he could no longer believe anyone. He would never care about the lives of others. But this Shiyu was different, right? Yang Haoshuan would never forget that it was this beautiful and handsome young man who told him with an ease smile light and a loud tone, "I can cure you." Shiyu was like a light, pulling him out of the abyss of hell, allowing him to relive like a person, and giving redemption to the Ouyang family. Yang Haoshuan was grateful and eager for Shiyu. But now, he found that he was more and more attracted to this beautiful-looking, superb medical skills, and powerful youth. It was to the extent that he couldn't look away. The two men ascended halfway up the main peak, and finally came to a huge field on top of the mountain. Not far away, in the dense forest ahead, the sound of quarrels and fights could be heard. Occasionally, there were the voices of martial artists screaming. From here, they could vaguely see indistinct figures fighting. Yang Haoshuan looked at the direction of the screaming, his eyes were cold without any curiosity or sympathy. However, when he turned to see He's expression looking over there, he couldn't help asking, "Shiyu, do you want to help?" If Shiyu wanted to save them, he was naturally willing to accompany him. He smiled faintly and shook her head. "No, I just seem to see an acquaintance. However, it doesn't matter to me, let's go. There was a smile in Ouyang Haoshuan's eyes. As the two were about to leave, a familiar young voice suddenly sounded behind them, "Young Master Shi, help." This was Nalan Ziyun's voice. It was full of supplication and surprise. Why would He care about him? She literally ignored him and walked away. She even talked to Ouyang Haoshuan by the side as she walked as if there was no one there. Nalan Ziyun was being beaten as he was pressed to the ground at this moment. The one who pressed him was an extremely fat martial artist. When he heard him asking for help, he laughed and said, "What, young master West or young master East? The 11 in Shiyu name represents West in Chinese, even the emperor couldn't save you now." After that, the fat fist slammed heavily on Nalan Ziyun's waist. It was so painful that Nalan Ziyun's body trembled for a while. He saw that Shiyu didn't mean to save himself at all, he was so furious and hateful. He turned his eyes, and there was ruthlessness in his eyes. He couldn't help increase his pitch. "Shiyu, weren't you very happy and proud to embarrass the Feng family in the palace that day? Now that you see the Feng family people oppress us innocent martial artists, you're going to flee." Nalan Ziyun's remarks immediately made the group of martial artists who were been beating Nalan Ziyun and others stop their movements, and looked at He fiercely. If, in this big hunting match, the most hated person of the disciples of Feng family and Lu Li's sect was Shiyu, then no one could absolutely be the second. Hearing the name Shiyu, and then carefully looked at this young man's overly handsome face, if he was not the one who embarrassed the Feng family in the palace, who would it be? For a time, these Feng family's martial artists burst into anger. The leader waved his hand, then half of the martial artists who were beating Nalan Ziyun charged directly at He and Ouyang Haoshuan. They immediately surrounded them in a blink of an eye. The leader looked 35 or 36 years old. His facial features were fairly angular, but his hair was thin and greasy. His forehead was even empty as if he was wearing a wig. He stepped forward a few steps and assessed He up and down, then he laughed coldly. "It really is you, Shiyu, ha ha ha. You can have a good live, but you run into trouble yourself instead." A mere foundation establishment stage martial artist actually overreaches himself to go to the rank 4 magical beast area. "Today, you are really unlucky to meet me, Feng Yunhai. Rest assured, according to the rules of big hunting match, I can't kill the contestants, but it's still very easy for you to survive a living hell. Ha ha ha." He only treated him as a crazy dog barking. Her gaze looking at him was full of unconcern. It's strange, Feng family and Lu Li's sect were so embarrassed. Even their own misdelicate body was naked in front of everybody. I thought that the disciple of the Feng family should at least know how to be shameful and stay at home for half a moon to not see anyone. Who knows that even your face is lost, the Feng family still dare to let you guys come out and bark. This is really shameless, utterly shameless. Feng Yunhai snorted. He pointed at He and said angrily, "Slut, you're looking for death. You all come here and catch this slut, then beat him up badly." For a while, the Feng family's disciples who were staying around Nalan Ziyun all rushed over. What made He a little curious was that several of these disciples were actually at the gold core stage, but after entering the rank 4 magical beast area, their strength was suppressed. When they came over, they surrounded and protected Feng Yunhai firmly in the middle. It seemed that Feng Yunhai's status in the Feng family was not low. He and Feng Yunhai were at daggers drawn. Nalan Ziyun saw the men who had beaten himself fled, then he quickly rushed to a handsome young man not far away and carefully lifted him up. "Third fellow apprentice, are you all right?" The person who was getting help was Xia Yichen, the grandson of Elder Xia of the Shui Yu sect. At this point, Xia Yichen's mouth was bleeding with blood, and his forehead was a little bruised. He was looking at the crowd in front of him with a sinister and fierce gaze. Nalan Ziyun glanced at He, Feng Yunhai and others, and said quickly, "Third fellow apprentice." Thankfully Feng Yunhai and his men redirect their attention to Shiyu. "They will not notice us at all for the time being. Let's go now." Nalan Ziyan pulled Xia Yichen a bit, but Xia Yichen's face turned blue. His body wasn't moving at all. Nalan Ziyan looked anxiously at the other young man beside him. Fourth fellow apprentice, you should also advise third fellow apprentice. If the Feng family's people target us again, we would be damned. Shut up. Before Nalan Ziyan finished his words, Xia Yichen interrupted him coldly. Since when my Shui Yu sect, Xia family, is afraid of the Feng family? This scum Feng Yunhai dared to let me crawl under his crotch, and he wanted to steal our monster essence pills. It is unbearable. If I run away today, where would our Xia families and Shui Yu sect's face be? The fellow apprentices around Xia Yichen immediately felt indignant and said, Feng family is going too far. We Shui Yu sect is also a martial artist sect who is tied with them among the 4 major sections. Who the hell is Feng Jianhai? Isn't he just a not outstanding scum of the Feng family? He has been training for more than 50 years, but he is only at the meridian stage. He actually dares to be so arrogant to our Shui Yu sect. He really thinks that Shui Yu sect doesn't have any powerful person. Nalan Ziyan hurriedly said, but Feng family now wants to deal with Shi Yu's kid. Third fellow apprentice, don't you also hate that Shi Yu? Wouldn't it be better to let them fight each other? Xia Yichen looked coldly at him for a moment. His eyes were full of contempt. I do hate Shi Yu, but I hate these scums of the Feng family even more and the people who set us up. If I want to trouble Shi Yu, I will challenge that kid up front. If we use trick to set him up, wouldn't we lose the face of the Xia family? Third fellow apprentice is right. How fair is that for us to use dirty tricks? We need to regain our face. We must let those scums of the Feng family kneel down and apologize to us. Xia Yichen's fellow apprentice were all in their 20s. They were irritable and bad-tempered. Now, they were bullied by Feng family's people. How would they just give up that easily? Of course, part of the reason was that no one could kill anyone in this big hunting match. Similarly, Feng Yunhai dared to rob them, but they had absolutely no courage to kill them. Otherwise, wouldn't it let Xia family and Feng family completely have a fallout? Several people from Shui Yu sect pushed Nalan Ziyan aside, and some even taunted him. Fellow apprentice is still timid. You are probably scared after being beaten by the fat man. Since you have no courage, it is better to stay here to avoid being caught and getting your face beaten. You only know to cry for help. Wouldn't you ruin the reputation of our Shui Yu sect? Nalan Ziyan's face turned blue and white for a while. He clenched his fists tightly. His eyes were filled with resentment and haze. If I didn't use tricks to shift Feng Yunhai and his men's attention to Shi Yu, these people would be beaten up badly just now. Now they actually blame me for being dirty. It's all because of Shi Yu. Because he refused to take the initiative to save me, so I got myself into such a situation. It is all Shi Yu, this bitch's fault. By this time Heshi and Feng Yunhai had already started fighting. Feng Yunhai's strength was just average, but the 2 gold core stage martial artists around him, whose strength was suppressed, were very powerful. As soon as Feng Yunhai ordered, a fireball and an ice blade were launched toward Heshi. Before waiting for Heshi to move, Ouyang Haoshuan stood in front of Heshi, waved his sword, and easily parried the fireball and ice blade. Obviously it was just a sword coated with a thin layer of spiritual power, but it could make the fireball and ice blade disappear instantly. The 2 gold core stage martial artists both showed shocked expressions, exclaiming, "Gold core stage." Several people's faces showed stunned expressions. No wonder Heshi dared to enter the rank 4 magical beast area at a foundation establishment stage. It turned out that she was followed by a gold core stage bodyguard, and he was also at strong gold core stage. Feng Yunhai saw that the attack of her 2 guards was parried by Ouyang Haoshuan, and he suddenly yelled furiously, "You two entangle that gold core stage guy, everyone else beat up Shi Yu, that scum." As Feng Yunhai's men were about to move, several martial artists from the dense forest suddenly flew over and landed around the crowd. Xia Yichen stepped forward slowly, stood next to Heshi, and sneered toward Feng Yunhai. Feng family's people are really good. They want to let so many Meridian stage martial artists bully a Foundation establishment stage martial artist. This is really a big joke. Oh, yes, anyway, you guys had already been laughed at in the palace during the good show. Of course, you are not afraid now. After all, your face is already thicker than the city wall. Would you guys care embarrassing yourself more? When Feng Yunhai heard the words, he burst in rage. The thin, greasy hair on his head tilted as if it would fall off at any time. Heshi was surprised. She glanced at Xia Yichen and secretly thought, if I remember correctly, Silver Spoon Kid was very hostile toward me during the opening ceremony of the big hunting match. His gaze was so fierce as if it could pierce me. Why would he help me now? Xia Yichen looked into Heshi's clear eyes and handsome face, and his face flushed suddenly. He suddenly raised his tone, what are you looking at? I'm not helping you, I'm just displeased with the Feng family's people only. Heshi couldn't help laughing and shook her head. As expected, he was just a child like Shinqingchua. Feng Yunhai, who looked embarrassed by Xia Yichen's words, burst into rage. Now when he saw Xia Yichen talking with Heshi, he suddenly turned his eyes and said evilly, Shiyu, our miss said you like to seduce a man. She really didn't wrong you. Look at you, is it not enough to seduce His Royal Highness King of Hell? You also seduce a gold core stage martial artist. Now you even got the grandson of Elder Xia under your crotch, ha 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 ha. I was wondering why a Foundation establishment stage boy dares to hunt in the rank 4 magical beast area, so you found yourself a few lovers to protect you. When Feng Yunhai said this, the Feng family's disciples behind him burst into laughter. Look at his thin skin and tender flesh, his red lips and teeth white. No one would believe that he isn't a boy toy. Aya, such a beautiful boy, even I am willing to keep him. I don't know if the young master she is short of lovers. As long as you are willing to sleep with us for a night, we can give you a lot of monster essence pill, ha ha ha. Feng Yunhai was extremely satisfied with the cooperation of his subordinates, then he immediately smiled at Xia Yichen, Zuzu, Xia Yichen, I heard that you are the only bloodline of Elder Xia, but you are mixing with a man. If you let your grandpa know, do you think that he will chase you out of the Xia family because you lose the family's face? Ha ha ha. What's more, even if you are looking for a man, you need to find someone with clean history. This young master she obviously has several lovers. I think the gold core stage next to him is better than you, Xia Yichen isn't even comparable to him, ha ha ha. Feng Yunhai's words aroused another round of laughter. The gold core stage brother next to Shiyu, how does it feel to play with a man? Is it better than playing with a girl? Why don't you share it with us? Xia Yichen's angry eyes widened. Even his handsome face was distorted. He took out his flying sword as he was going to fight with Feng Yunhai. But Ouyang Haoshuan moved faster than him. The whistling flying sword circled in the sky and flew toward the Feng family disciple who spoke last. Before the man's laughter stopped, his mouth widened, and his eyes revealed a wretched expression. However, before he closed his mouth, he felt a murderous vibe rushing at him. Ah! A short scream sounded, then it disappeared without a trace. There was a large hole in the man's forehead. Blood and brain juice were flowing out of it. The Feng family's disciples including Feng Yunhai were stunned by this scene. They never thought that this gentle-looking and handsome man would kill without saying a word. This was totally disregarding the rules of the big hunting match and the identity of the Feng family's disciple. The long sword circled back to Ouyang Haoshuan's hands. He bent his fingers and flicked on the sword, then smiled faintly, when will the Feng family people only do the talk? Oh, I forget, when you framed Shiyu was at the public trial conference, weren't you guys only doing the talk? However, you guys failed to frame her and lost your own reputation unfortunately. I thought you guys really wouldn't use this unique skill again. When Ouyang Haoshuan said this, Xia Yichen and the people of the Qixing Palace laughed out loud. Feng Yunhai and others were furious, pointing at Ouyang Haoshuan and screaming, "Shit, what are you? You dare to point finger at our Feng family? Besides, don't you know that killing is not allowed in big hunting match? Aren't you afraid of being punished by the four major sects after it is made known?" Ouyang Haoshuan sneered, "Big hunting match does not allow killings, but it is only for those registered martial artists, not the people who sneaked in around you. I don't know when the people in the Feng family were so brave. They actually dare to send in the non-participants illegally behind the other three major sections. If this is spread out, am I going to be sanctioned or the Feng family will be sanctioned?" When Ouyang Haoshuan said this, Feng Yunhai suddenly panicked. He almost instinctively blurted out, "How? How do you know?" Xia Yichen and others were also shocked, then suddenly came to their senses. They felt weird. They were also the major sect's disciples who were teleported to Breaking Spirit Mountain for the big hunting match. Xia Yichen's brothers and sisters all gathered together using secret methods. How come the Feng family's disciples were more powerful than them? There were even a few gold core stage martial artists followed Feng Yunhai to protect them. Logically, the number of people from the major sects and families had limited seats in the big hunting match. After all, most of the quotas must be reserved for those average martial artists in order for the major sects to select their talents. It turned out that these Feng family's people didn't all sign up for the big hunting match, but they sneaked in. No wonder, the Qixing Palace was defenseless against them. Xia Yichen's gaze looking at Feng Yunhai was filled with caution and suspicion. "Feng Yunhai, what does Feng family want? Why did they send so many people into the Breaking Spirit Mountain?" Feng Yunhai's face was extremely gloomy. Instead of answering Xia Yichen's words, he stared coldly at Ouyang Haoshuan. "Young man, who are you?" Before Ouyang Haoshuan answered, one of the gold core stage martial artists beside Feng Yunhai suddenly exclaimed, "Young master, I know who he is. He is Ouyang Haoshuan, the only son of Ouyang Zhixiong." Ouyang family was the organizer of this big hunting match, so it was normal for Ouyang Haoshuan to know the list of participants of the big hunting match. Ouyang Haoshuan. Feng Yunhai's pupils shrank sharply. His hand, that was rubbing his hair gently, suddenly gripped and pulled out 1/3 of his hair. Instead of being angry, Feng Yunhai showed a look of joy in his eyes. He winked at the two gold core stage martial artists around her. This Ouyang Haoshuan was the wanted person by the young master, Feng Yunjing. This time the Feng family had invested so much manpower into Breaking Spirit Mountain. In addition to investigating the Prohibition Array's location of Breaking Spirit Mountain, there was a temporary mission which was to find the location of Ouyang Haoshuan and secretly took him back alive. Feng Yunhai masked the joy on his face and yelled angrily at Ouyang Haoshuan, "Ouyang Haoshuan, are you tired of living? You dare to oppose our Feng family. You all catch him for me immediately. I must show him who has the say now." When Feng family's disciples heard that, they were about to charge at Ouyang Haoshuan. How would Xia Yichen let him do as he wished? He hated Feng Yunhai's humiliation to his bone. He immediately shouted, "The Feng family dares to cheat in the big hunting match. Let's catch them all and look for the Feng family to reason with them." Qixing Palace's disciple responded and they cast their flying sword magic weapons. Sparks were everywhere instantly, roar resounded in the sky. Two groups of people went into a fight. The two martial artists of the gold core stages, plus several people at the peak of the Meridian stage surrounded Ouyang Haoshuan. It was a formation that would not allow him to escape. Even the people surrounding Heshi to take her life were not as many as those around Ouyang Haoshuan. Heshi raised an eyebrow in surprise. She always felt that Feng Yunhai became strange after he knew Ouyang Haoshuan's identity, or that the attitude of Feng family people became strange. They were shouting to teach Ouyang Haoshuan a lesson, but they were very careful in their moves. They seemed to be afraid of hurting Ouyang Haoshuan. In addition, most of the experts were around Ouyang Haoshuan. This was showing that they wanted to catch him alive. What is the Feng family trying to do? Why do they want to catch Ouyang Haoshuan? although most of the Feng family's force was attracted by Ouyang Haoshuan and Heshi. However, the number and strength of the Feng family were still much larger than Qixing Palace. In particular, Feng Yunhai's men were almost at the advanced stage of the Meridian stage or even the peak of the Meridian stage. On the side of Xia Yichen, except for his own cultivation which was at the peak of the Meridian stage, most of his fellow apprentices were at most at the early stage and middle stage of the Meridian stage. So after a battle, Qixing Palace quickly fell behind. The situation on Ouyang Haoshuan's side was also not so optimistic. The strength of the two gold core stage masters surrounding him were exceptional, and they even had powerful magic weapons in their hands. In addition, there were 3 or 4 on the peak of the Meridian stage to interfere with him. Now that his strength was suppressed to the Meridian stage, so he gradually became unable to cope with the situation. One of the martial artists on the gold core stage saw that he was short of spiritual power, and he immediately overjoyed, shouting, "Give me the natural silks. Catch him, then our credit will be." However, before this man finished his words, Ouyang Haoshuan suddenly channeled his flying sword. His eyes were so cold and ruthless. He actually ignored all the people who attacked behind him and ruthlessly cut toward the hands of the gold core stage martial artist. Ah! The gold core stage martial artists uttered a terrible misery. The hand that was holding onto the natural silk was chopped down forcefully, his severed limb was splashing blood everywhere. For a moment, those who were attacking Ouyang Haoshuan were stunned. They never thought that this young man with normal cultivation would actually be so ruthless. When he hacked at this gold core stage martial artist, he completely exposed his back and weakness to the enemies behind him. This was basically the same as risking his own life. Feng Yunhai was also startled, then he immediately shouted, "What are you all doing? Since he can't appreciate what is good for him, then you just cripple him and then catch him." Feng family's disciple responded immediately. They took out all the magic weapons in their hands. As Ouyang Haoshuan, who didn't seem to be able to guard on time, was about to be seriously injured, there were dozens of purple lights shooting out from the blind angle. They were aiming at the Feng family's disciples behind Ouyang Haoshuan like sharp arrows. PCH, PCH, there were several consecutive sounds of sharp blades penetrated the flesh, then followed by the horrible misery of the people. Immediately after that, the Meridian stage martial artists who wanted to attack Ouyang Haoshuan suddenly crumbled to the ground. Their eyes turned white, their faces were gray, and they looked like they were dying. A purple vine was piercing through their chests. The leaves were trembling as they sucked their flesh happily. The only one who could survive from the vine attack was the only gold core stage martial artist. But the vine had cut an opening on his throat. He was standing on the spot in horror, he was unable to move. Before the group was completely sucked into dry corpses, Heshi waved her hand and the vine flew back to her. Feng Yunhai looked incredibly at the handsome young man standing not far away. Isn't this kid only foundation establishment stage? Why can a single hit make the martial artists at the top of the Meridian stage unable to fight back? Feng Yunhai's complexion fluctuated, and he suddenly took out a yellow talisman from his arms. This was the Thunderbolt talisman given by his elder in the family. The full blow of the talisman could even make the martial artists at the peak of the gold core stage unbearable. Feng Yunhai gritted his teeth and spit his blood on the talisman, then he suddenly activated the talisman and rushed toward Heshi. "Shiyu, this slut, make our Feng family lose face. Now he dares to show off in front of us and spoil our important matter. I must let this bitch die without a trace in this breaking spirit mountain." Seeing Heshi's figure already appeared in front of him, but she still didn't realize it. There was a smirk in Feng Yunhai's eyes, and the talisman in his hand was about to burst open. "You scum, die now!" Feng Yunhai's arrogant shout came to an abrupt end. He couldn't believe seeing a little gray-black dragon appearing in front of his eyes. The little dragon opened his mouth to him, exposing his white and sharp teeth and grinning with ill intention. Then, his talisman was swallowed by the little dragon. It was swallowed in one bite. The little dragon made a burp and spat out a black smoke, then it murmured at Hashi, "Boss, this talisman is not tasty at all. The cinnabar used for painting talisman is not pure, but this spiritual power is quite rich, but it is still enough for a snack, hee." This little magic dragon was of course transfigured by the little golden dragon into the image of the doll T-Rex. After he was injured, he swallowed a lot of monster essence pills before completely recovered. Monster essence pill contained magical beast cultivation and essence. After swallowing more monster essence pills, little golden dragon slowly acquired some basic skills of the other magical beasts. This taste and ability to devour talisman was one of the new skills learned by little golden dragon. Feng Yunhai widened his mouth as he looked at the little dragon in front of him, then he looked at Hashi again with a horrified face. Hashi sneered, lifted her feet, and trampled on Feng Yunhai's fat belly fiercely. Feng Yunhai let out a horrible scream like a pig being slaughtered. He flew out like a kite with broken line and fell on the ground. The blood in his mouth continued to flow, and his dantian was having a burning pain. Feng Yunhai stared at Hashi fiercely. His eyes filled with horror and resentment. Xia Yichen and others were originally suppressed by the Feng family's disciples, but Hashi's one move reversed the situation all of a sudden. One of the two gold core stages of the Feng family was crippled, one was injured. The injured one is now being suppressed heavily by Ouyang Haoshuan. In addition, those experts at the peak of the meridian stage were also crippled by Hashi. The leader, Feng Yunhai, was even kicked out by Hashi and rolled on the ground like a turtle. Xia Yichen was particularly happy to see Feng Yunhai suffered a hit. He laughed out loud. The Feng family's disciples only have this little strength. They want to besiege a foundation establishment stage kid, but they were beaten up by him utterly. Please go to https://www.novel updates. cc/the King of Hell's Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. Look, there is nothing to be afraid of the martial artists of the Feng family. We now will get our revenge. Beat these scums to their death. Okay. Beat them up. The disciples of Qixing Palace laughed loudly, and their momentum suddenly increased. Even in the face of people who were higher than themselves, they showed no fear at all. On the contrary, the Feng family's disciples felt scared when they saw Hashi's fierce and powerful vibe and Ouyang Haoshuan's ruthlessness. Even their movement was slowed down in the blink of an eye, the situation reversed. And all this was just because of the two moves of the foundation establishment stage young man. Soon, the Feng family's people were all tied up by the disciples of Qixing Palace. Xia Yichen ransacked the storage bags and storage rings of the Feng family's disciples. They even removed their clothes, leaving them only a pair of underwear. Xia Yichen laughed as he watched the embarrassed and furious look when their clothes were stripped off. Feng Yunhai, didn't you just say that you want me to crawl through your crotch before you let me go? Now, how do you want me to let you go? Feng Yunhai looked more embarrassed than ever. His clothes had been stripped off, leaving only a pair of tattered pants. Even half of his butt was exposed. His belly was huge. It was full of fat meat. After peeling off his clothes, the fat was piled up, looking white and ugly. Especially his hair that was scarce, his hair that was entangled with the weeds was torn a lot because Hashi's made him roll several times on the ground. Now that the middle of his head looked bad, which made him look extremely ugly. Feng Yunhai was tied up with natural silk. He was so angry that his body fat was trembling. He yelled at Xia Yichen furiously, "Xia Yichen, stop the bullying now. Do you really think our Feng family is easy to bully? You should let me go now if you are sensible, otherwise I won't let you guys go when I go back to the Feng family." "Aya, we are so scared." Another fellow apprentice sneered beside Xia Yichen. "Feng Yunhai, don't forget that our Qixing Palace is also one of the four major sect. Do you really think we are afraid of your Feng family?" Xia Yichen crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked down at Feng Yunhai. "If you want me to let you go, you can. As long as you Feng Yunhai obediently crawls through my crotch, I will let you all go." Otherwise, hee, don't you think about it. Feng Yunhai was furious. Who the hell are you? You want me, Feng Yunhai, to crawl your crotch? Are you worth, pa? Before Feng Yunhai finished his words, Xia Yichen threw a slap on his face and smirked. You can choose not to crawl. I can't kill you because of the rules of big hunting match. But, I don't mind beating you all up badly. Feng Yunhai's face quickly swelled. He wanted to scold again, but another slap containing spiritual power hit him again. Everyone of the Qixing Palace laughed and beat up Feng family's disciple. For a time, there were wailing sounds on the mountainside. Feng Yunhai finally couldn't stand the humiliation and pain. He pleaded with tears and blood on his face, Don't hit anymore, I'll crawl. I'll crawl. Xia Yichen looked at Feng Yunhai, who trembled as he crawled through his crotch, and was so proud that the grievance in his chest was clear. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. He turned his head and saw Heshi standing indifferently. He coughed and walked over as he said, thank you. Heshi glanced at him and said indifferently, Feng family and I already have resentment. I didn't mean to help you. Thank for what? You. Xia Yichen thanked him kindly, but in exchange for Heshi's lukewarm reply. He was instantly out of breath. But looking at the beautiful face of the young boy like ice sculptures, he couldn't say anything terrible. After all, if it wasn't for this man, he would be humiliated by Feng Yunhai today. How could he vent his anger? Before Xia Yichen spoke, Nailan Ziyun, who was also following him, suddenly burst into anger. Young Master Shi, what do you mean? Second fellow apprentice thanked you kindly. You don't appreciate it, but why are you so arrogant? Don't you know that the people who cultivate immortality should uphold justice? You just now wanted to see us die. Don't you think you are too cold and selfish? Heshi sneered, watching Nailan Ziyun with a cold and sharp gaze. Her cheap brother was really interesting. Each time he made a young and naive look, but the words he spoke implied provocation and irony. He really got the best of Nailan Zhengze. Nailan Ziyun's words were full of indignation. He initially thought he would get Xia Yichen's understanding. Who knew that Xia Yichen glared at him and said coldly, Who asks you to talk now? Go to the side. Don't disturb me to talk to Shiyu. Nailan Ziyun's expression suddenly froze. His hands on his sides suddenly clenched into fists. His gaze revealed a grim light. Xia Yichen ignored Nailan Ziyun. He just stared at Heshi for a long while, then he suddenly took out the items he ransacked and passed over. Here you go. Heshi raised an eyebrow and looked at him in confusion. Xia Yichen uneasily opened his eyebrows, and he tried to maintain a cold tone. Feng Yunhai was defeated by you. This is the monster essence pill and magic weapons I found from him. I give them all to you. He also added, the other people's storage bags are taken by my fellow apprentices, so I will not return them to you. I have given what I searched from them to you. I don't want to take advantage of you. Heshi looked at the young man's proud and shy face, and she felt a little funny. Xia Yichen treats me as a love rival, but he could still think of not taking advantage of me. It seems that this guy's heart is not bad. Xia Yichen saw that Heshi had been silenced all the time. Her pair of slanted eyes obviously looked so beautiful, but her expression was arrogant and irritating. He stuffed the storage bag into Heshi's hand, and said coldly, There is no rule that prohibits killing outside Breaking Spirit Mountain. You should be careful of Feng family's revenge at that time. Don't say that I drag you down later. Having said that, regardless of Heshi's reaction, he quickly greeted the disciples of the Qixing Palace and left the place. Until Xia Yichen and others went far away, Heshi looked at Feng Yunhai. Feng Yunhai took back his gloomy gaze from Xia Yichen and others at this time. He stared directly at Ouyang Haoshuan instead. There was a vicious sneer in the corner of his mouth. There was not much time left until the end of the big hunting match. When he got out, as long as he told the young master and white protector about the whereabouts of Ouyang Haoshuan, he believed that it could also be credited to him. Hexi's eyes revealed a coldness. She waved her wrists suddenly, and a nearly colorless and tasteless light smoke wrapped Feng Yunhai and others. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hela's Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. These light fumes quickly invaded the mouth and nose of Feng Yunhai and others, especially their wounds, then it disappeared without a trace. When Feng Yunhai saw Hexi looking at him, she was instantly frightened by her cold eyes and shivered. You don't even think of doing anything to me. If I die, you will also be disqualified from the competition, and you will even be hunted down by the 4 major sections. You don't do stupid things. Hexi smiled slowly. Her voice was clear and soft. I don't need to do stupid things. Hao Xian, let's go. After speaking, without waiting for Feng Yunhai to react to what she said, she and Ouyang Haoshuan quickly left. Feng Yunhai looked at a little surprise, then he sneered again. What Shiyu, what Ouyang family? When I leave the main peak of Breaking Spirit Mountain, I will never let them go. In the dense grassy hills, the breeze blew through the weeds. There were figures fighting behind the weeds. Feng Lianying pressed her head in pain, finally waking up from the raging lust fire. Her memory slowly recovered in her head. Feng Lianying's pretty face twisted. Her hands clenched tightly. After a click sound, her well-maintained nail was suddenly broken by her. She remembered Shiyu, who was almost humiliated and tortured. Then she remembered Nangong Yu, who descended from the sky and rescued Shiyu. She remembered Nangong Yu's ruthlessness toward her. The love-devouring voodoo given by the master was intended to use on Shiyu initially, but it was actually used on Feng Lianying herself. Then, her consciousness became blurred, leaving only a passionate desire for men. In these days, she couldn't remember anything. She just kept moaning constantly, holding on to men and moving up and down endlessly. If one couldn't satisfy her, then 2. If 2 couldn't satisfy, then 3 or 4. Even if she lost her voice, she couldn't feel anything. Her body and heart were dominated by lust. Feng Lianying stood up staggeringly and put on some clothes. When she looked down and saw the bodies of the ugly men around her, she felt that her stomach was churning. She kept retching, and her face was so ugly that it looked scary. Beauty girl Ice Lotus Fairy, let's come again, he. The ugly man who had just had fun with her kept licking her white jade feet. His tongue was licking on her calf. As soon as Feng Lianying bowed his head, he met the man's face full of pimples. Especially the raised sarcoma on his forehead, it was more disgusting and ugly than magical beast. Feng Lianying only felt reluctance in her heart for a while. She raised her sword and cut off the man's head ruthlessly. She inhaled and exhaled deeply, then she did it again. Her face was twisting ferociously, her eyes were full of hatred and humiliation. I am the Feng family's miss, the lofty Ice Lotus Fairy. I was actually tarnished by these ugly men. Such a disgusting and dirty man. I even felt disgusted when he stood in front of me. How could he touch me? How? Nangong Yu, how can you be so cruel and vicious? You gave my pure body to these ugly and dirty men. No, it's not Nangong Yu's fault. All these should be blamed on Shiyu. It must be Shiyu, this bitch who instigated brother Yu to treat me like this. Shiyu. Holding the flying sword tightly, she spoke with a hoarse voice as if the voice would be lost at any moment, and the voice was filled with destructive hatred. Feng Lianying swears that I will tear your body into pieces. I must let you fall into disrepute. After you die, your soul will not reincarnate again. Shiyu, just you wait. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/the King of Hell's Genius Pampered Wife / to read the latest chapters for free. Feng Lianying turned around and walked out, suddenly sticking a warm body behind her. Nie Jinqian's soft voice sounded in her ear, "Lianying, we now have skin relatives, and I will propose to Feng family when I return." Feng Lianying turned his head sharply, his eyes were waiting fiercely for him. "Nie Jinqian, are you still alive?" When she woke up, she looked around and found that there were corpses everywhere, and several of them were disciples of Lu Li sect. She thought that except her and those ugly men, everyone else had been killed by Nan Gongyu. Nie Jinqian looked at her affectionately, but her eyes were bottomless. "Sister Lianying, have you forgotten? The first person to have sex with you is me. You hugged me passionately at that time. You even tore me and your clothes. Sister Lianying, you know that I always like you. Even if you have a relationship with these men, I will not despise you. When I go back to report to the head and Feng family's master, I will marry you. Marry me." Feng Lianying suddenly changed her face and screamed, "Nie Jinqian, what do you think you are? Are you worthy of marrying me? You are just a dog beside me. You want me to marry you? Stop dreaming. I tell you, forget what happened today if you are sensible. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. You don't forget that I'm the young master of Lu Li sect." Nie Jinqian's pupils shrank suddenly as he heard that. His face looked grim. He held a piece of talisman in his hand. He gripped the talisman tighter. Even his fingernails carved into his palm. However, in the end, he just smiled coldly and lowered his head without talking. Feng Lianying thought he was suppressed by her, and she was relieved in her heart. She said coldly, "If you can listen to me, you will still be the disciple leader of the Lu Li sect. After I become the head of Lu Li sect, you will be indispensable. Remember, don't tell anyone what happened today, otherwise I will never let you go." After Feng Lianying finished speaking, she didn't bother Nie Jinqian anymore. She began to carefully groom her appearance. She had full confidence in her charm. Nie Jinqian was fascinated by her. As long as it was her order, Nie Jinqian would listen. What's more, there were Feng family and Lu Li sect behind her. How would Nie Jinqian offend her? He, as long as Nie Jinqian doesn't say, "And these disgusting men are also dead. Wait until I kill Shiyu, then nobody in this world will know what happened in these days." As for Nan Gongyu, in Feng Lianying's mind, Nan Gongyu was her destined husband. When she married to him and became Nan Gongyu's well-known wife, would Nan Gongyu publicize his wife's scandal? Feng Lianying planned well in her mind, so she didn't pay attention to Nie Jinqian's eyes at all. Nie Jinqian looked at her coldly behind her. A wicked and sly smile was evoked at the corner of her mouth. "You dare to say that I'm a dog? You said that I'm not worthy of marrying you? Feng Lianying, why don't you look at what you are now? You are just a shameless bitch who had sex with 8 men. You even have the face to abandon me. If it weren't for the identity of the Feng family's miss and the position of Lu Li sect's master, I would have torn this woman to pieces. But Feng Lianying, you don't know yet, right? Your good days are over. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/the King of Hell's Genius Pampered Wife / to read the latest chapters for free. Big hunting match, which lasted a whole month, was finally over. When Heshi came out of the transportation array of the Breaking Spirit Mountain while holding an inscribed teleportation jade slip, she saw the crowds in front of her. Most of them were shabby, they looked withered and dejected. But there were also people who looked proud of himself. Their eyebrows were full of complacent smiles. Obviously, they had achieved good results in this big hunting match. Heshi glanced through the crowd, then she quickly met Feng Lianying's cold, ghostly eyes. Heshi's gaze examined her up and down, then she glanced at Nie Jinqian beside her, revealing an inexplicable smile. It's really a pity for the Ice Lotus Fairy. Having sex with 8 men for a few days and nights, she can still appear here beautifully. Should I say that she is talented, or her desire is strong? When Feng Lianying saw Heshi's smile, she was so hateful that she almost crushed her silver teeth. If this was not the closing ceremony of the big hunting match, she would have rushed over and torn Heshi, who had framed her, into pieces. Heshi's deep voice suddenly came from Ouyang Haoshuan. Shiyu, don't entangle with such a shameless woman, lest you dirty your eyes. Heshi looked up and saw Ouyang Haoshuan looking at Feng Lianying with contempt and disgust. Seeing Heshi's confusion, Ouyang Haoshuan explained something inexplicably. When I received your call for help, I rushed to the junction of the rank 5 magical beast area and the rank 4 magical beast area, and then saw the woman and several men. I didn't expect the Ice Lotus Fairy, who looks holy on the surface, is actually so disgusting. Shiyu, you better stay away from them in the future. Heshi almost laughed out loud after hearing this. She didn't expect that Ouyang Haoshuan also bumped into Feng Lianying's great scene. It was really a pity for Ouyang Haoshuan. Especially the appearance of Mr. Liao's disciples, that was so beautiful that he didn't dare to look. Just looking at Feng Lianying, I'm afraid that she thought no one knows her scandal, right? She thought that if Nie Jinchen doesn't say, and she doesn't say it, no one will really know. As Heshi was thinking, an anxious voice sudden, why came from Shinqingchua, young Master Shi, are you okay? I received your talisman, but my area is the eastern part of the rank 4 magical beast area. I have been urging my fellow apprentices to hurry, but there were so many magical beasts on the road, so I couldn't get through. As soon as Heshi turned her head, she met the little girl's worried and guilty eyes. Her little apple-like face turned red, and her white forehead even exuded a thin layer of sweat. Heshi's eyebrows quickly became soft, and her tone turned soft as she spoke to Shinqingchua. Don't you worry, Miss Shen. Am I not fine now? When Shinqingchua heard the words, her eyes became red. Her little hands were holding onto Heshi's sleeve, and her voice was slightly choking. Sorry, young Master Shi, I promised to help you, but I couldn't fulfill my promise. Grandpa taught me not to promise anything that I can't fulfill. I am really useless, Heshi smiled gently. Who said you didn't help me? As Hexo spoke, she took out the contact talisman and stuffed it into Shinqingchua's hands. She said slowly, in fact, I was accidentally teleported to the rank 5 magical beast area, so I asked you and young Master Ouyang for help. Although you couldn't come on time, the talisman you gave me showed me where you are, and it gave me a way to the rank 4 magical beast area. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife / to read the latest chapters for free. Heshi softly comforted, this way I could wait for Ouyang's help. Didn't you help me a lot by that? Shinqingchua's eyes were beaming when she heard that. She lowered her voice, young Master Shi, are you telling the truth? Heshi nodded. Shinqingchua was immediately delighted. Her little face seemed to be able to emit dazzling light. Xia Yichen, who came from the side, wanted to talk to Heshi, but when he saw the scene, he snorted in anger and left arrogantly. Naylan Ziyun whispered beside him, apart from Shiyu's handsome look, how can he compare to you? I really don't know what the girl of the Shin family thinks. She is actually fond of him. Do you not know what Shiyu is capable of except for his handsome face? Why did you ask him for help if he was so incapable? Xia Yichen glared at him, then gritted his teeth. I don't need you to comfort me. I know that I can't compare myself to Shiyu, so it's normal for Chua Er to be fond of him. His face was full of unwillingness, but his eyes looked calm. Xia Yichen clenched his fists and said, when I return to Qixing Palace, I train with my grandfather properly. One day, I will defeat that Shiyu and let my Chua Er take a different look at me. Heshi glanced at Xia Yichen's leaving figure, and she could hear everything the two guys said. Then, there was a smile on her face. Ouyang Haoshuan suddenly said in a deep voice, Shiyu, it's that Feng Yunhai. He was astounded. When she looked up, she saw Feng Yunhai, who had bald hair, limp toward Feng Lianying and Nie Jinchen, and several disciples of the Feng family. As he walked, his gaze glanced viciously at He and Ouyang Haoshuan. There was a sinister smile on his face. Ouyang Haoshuan frowned. It seems he is going to report to the elders of the Feng family. He's expression was not flustered, and she smiled leisurely. Relax, he can't report it. Feng Yunhai had now stood in front of Feng Lianying and others. He couldn't wait for the closing of big hunting match and the end of the awards. Since he couldn't notify young Master Feng Yunjing for the time being, it would still be the same to tell Feng Lianying and the others. As Feng Yunhai thought of this, a venomous smile appeared on his swollen face. He said, "Miss, senior fellow disciple, young master. When I entered Breaking Spirit Mountain to participate in the competition, I was asked to find the whereabouts of a person. Now I have found him. The young master told me to make sure that he should be caught alive." Feng Lianying wondered, who is this? That person is. Before Feng Yunhai's words were finished, his voice stopped abruptly. His eyes widened, and blood gushed from his mouth. The blood was red at first, but it turned into a dark purple color. Feng Yunhai fell to the ground with a loud bang. His body twitched a few times, then he turned into a dead body. At the same time, there were also several martial artists who went into the Breaking Spirit Mountain with Feng Yunhai. It even included a gold core stage martial artist. Everyone's death was extremely weird. They were spitting blood, then the blood turned purple. The closing ceremony of the big hunting match was immediately chaotic. The prepared doctor hurriedly rushed over to check the dead men, but no one could find out the cause of the death. Feng Lianying's face was extremely ugly. On this trip to Breaking Spirit Mountain, their Feng family lost all their faces and they lost so many gold core stage martial artists when dealing with Shiyu. Today, the martial artists who followed Feng Yunhai to the Breaking Spirit Mountain were dead. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. Who the hell is it? Who is so bold to kill the Feng family's people under the daylight? The doctor who came to check up faced the fierce expression of the Feng family people and they were terrified that they trembled, but he still said, "My medical skills are not good. I really can't find out how these people were poisoned and when they were poisoned. Miss Feng, please be mercy." Ouyang Haoshuan not far away was startled by the scene. Then he stared blankly at He, lowering his voice, "Did you do this?" He's mouth curved slightly, and he slowly replied with a very low voice, "Ouyang Haoshuan, I guess those mysterious people who wanted to catch you may be sent by the Feng family." Ouyang Haoshuan froze, wondering, Feng family? What did the Feng family want from me? I don't know why they want to catch you. He smiled slowly. I gave Feng Yunhai name Spirit Powder. As soon as Feng Yunhai and the others left Breaking Spirit Mountain, the name Spirit Powder will be triggered. During the onset of the name Spirit Powder, as long as they mentioned my name, they would suddenly find themselves unable to speak. It took at least a month to recover. However, if they mentioned your name Spirit Powder will be activated completely. No matter who says your name, the name Spirit Powder will kill all of them at the same time. Ouyang Haoshuan's eyes widened in shock. He said with disbelief, there is such a poison in this world. Shiyu, how powerful is your healing and poisoning technique? He said indifferently, this is like the curse by the immortal. It will set some rules and restrictions. Once someone violates the curse, he or she will be punished. Name Spirit Powder is mixed with similar spiritual power. Together with the poison that can lurk the human body, this effect can naturally be achieved. Speaking of which, He glanced at Ouyang Haoshuan and said slowly, shouldn't you pay attention to the death of Feng Yunhai and the others? As she spoke, there was a cold and cruel smile on her mouth. I obviously should be the most hated person of the Feng family. However, in Breaking Spirit Mountain, after Feng Yunhai found out your identity, he didn't even bother about Xia Yichen and me. He just wanted to catch you alive. Moreover, the first sentence he spoke to Feng Lianying is even about you. Ouyang Haoshuan, don't you find it interesting? Ouyang Haoshuan was shocked, then his eyes flashed with a gloomy expression. After a long silence, he whispered slowly, Shiyu, I understand what you mean. I will be careful of the Feng family. Thank you. He smiled and stopped talking. By this time, Feng Lianying had been angrily inquiring about Feng Yunhai's murderer. However, everyone saw Feng Yunhai came out of the teleportation array safely, who would admit it? Many martial artists were already full of doubt and contempt for the Feng family. Look at the Feng family who sent so many gold core stage martial artists this time. Now that only a few people came out now. They did not expect that the strength of the Feng family was so weak now. It seems that this time if they were lucky enough to be selected by the major sects, they definitely shouldn't choose the Feng family. Feng Lianying's heart was full of resentment and hopelessness. The criticizing gaze of those martial artists even made her ashamed. At this time, Feng Yunjing even disappeared. No one had the might to control this situation. If I know who is the one who harmed the Feng family's people, I will. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/the King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. Young Master Shi, I remember you were the last one with Brother Feng Yunhai at Breaking Spirit Mountain, right? Suddenly a teenager's clear voice broke the depressive atmosphere. The speaker was Nalin Ziyun. When Feng Lianying and others heard the words, they looked at Heshi at once. Their gaze was like ice swords, wanting to tear her into pieces. Before Feng Lianying managed to speak, another middle-aged man at the peak of the gold core stage had already screamed, Shiyu, it's you again. Do you really think you can simply provoke our Feng family? You keep challenging the majestic of the Feng family. Heshi still looked no fear. There was still a calm smile on her face. She crossed her arms and said, you can eat anything you like, but you can't talk nonsense. You said that Feng Yunhai was killed by me, is there any evidence? Since you were the one who last saw Yunhai, if it wasn't you, who would it be? Heshi smirked, he said that I was the one who saw Feng Yunhai last, then I was the last. If he asks you to die, would you listen? Not to mention, I saw Feng Yunhai 3 days ago. Can you poison someone 3 days ago and let him die when he just meets you? The middle-aged man of the Feng family was so speechless for a long time by Heshi's words. When Feng Lianying saw Heshi, she couldn't wait to rip her off the bones, no matter whether she killed them or not. Shiyu, you bitch, who would oppose our Feng family except you? Stop quibbling. Today you better let us arrest you without resisting, otherwise you won't be able to get out of this Breaking Spirit Mountain. Heshi glanced at Nalin Ziyun and spoke ambiguously, oh? No one except me would oppose the Feng family. Why do I recall that someone asked me for help when I'm in a conflict with Feng Yunhai? Nalin Ziyun, you said I was the last person to meet Feng Yunhai, but I remember you left long ago. How do you know what happened to Feng Yunhai after you left? Could it be that you still held grudges on Feng Yunhai because he beat you up, so you came back later and secretly poisoned him, right? With that said, a creepy smile appeared on Heshi's face. After all, we all know that Nalin Ziyun is the son of Nalin Zhengzi, the first doctor of Jinyao Kingdom. If you want to poison someone, and someone who was being tied and defenseless, isn't that a piece of cake? You nonsense. Nalin Ziyun panicked and screamed immediately. I have been with my fellow apprentice rather since I left. I didn't go back to kill Feng Yunhai at all. Senior apprentice, please help me testify. Nalin Ziyun anxiously went to see Xia Yichen and other disciples in Qixing Palace. But these people looked at him with disgust and contempt, and they didn't mean to help him at all. Nalin Ziyun suddenly panicked, watching the aggressive gaze of the Feng family. His hands and feet were trembling. No, I didn't kill them. Shiyu, you don't put the blame on me. At this moment, Xia Yichen finally stood up and said coldly, 3 days ago in the rank 4 magical beast area, we did have a conflict with Feng Yunhai. The reason was that Feng Yunhai wanted to rob our monster essence pills. Shiyu was just passing by and he helped us because he couldn't accustom to Feng Yunhai's bad behavior. In the end, Feng Yunhai was defeated. He was being tied up and beaten up by us. Xia Yichen took a few steps forward. He looked just like a 10-year-old young man, but his face was handsome and delicate. There was a dignified vibe which made his words convincing. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. If every one of the Feng family, you can go to the rank 4 magical beast area of the Breaking Spirit Mountain to see the traces left. They wanted to commit a robber act relying on numbers. I think you guys can see it clearly. What's more, what is that Feng Yunhai? In the Breaking Spirit Mountain, he was beaten up badly by us until he cried for his parents. Do we need to kill such a coward? Feng Yunhai took out a blast talisman and wanted to kill Shiyu, but Shiyu's spiritual pet swallowed the talisman. He was so scared that he fell onto the ground. This kind of garbage, is he worthy of us killing him? Xia Yichen's sneer glance glanced at the few people who looked embarrassed in Feng family. He raised his hand as he said, you Feng family are narrow-minded, and you did such an injustice act. Don't measure the other using your villain's mind, thinking that the others would collude with you. When Xia Yichen said this, the disciples of Qixing Palace cheered. Second fellow disciple said, well. We Qixing Palace are participating in this hunt with our own strength. We never did those filthy act. Maybe that Feng Yunhai was just doing bad things too much, so he got his retribution. Don't put the blame on young Master Shi. Feng family really thought that our Qixing Palace was afraid of you. If you want to fight, let's fight. Xia Yichen's words made Shen Qingchua took a good look at him, then he said furiously at the people of Feng family, you failed to frame young Master Shi last time, but this time you want to repeat the trick. You are so shameless. Qingxia Sect's other gold core stage disciple also sneered, Feng family is simply bullying others. If Qixing Palace confronts with Feng family, it's better to count me Zhang Danshan of the Qingxia Sect in. Also count me in. Count me in. In the hall for a while, the people in Feng family seemed to be the target of criticism. Their faces were ugly, but in the face of the questions from Qingxia Sect and Qixing Palace, they couldn't argue with them for a while. Feng Yunhai's death could naturally just let it be. Feng Lianying was so enraged that her face also twisted as she watched Shiyu escape once again when she was about to catch her. At this moment, on the master seat of the main hall, the elders of several majors who came in late sat in their respective positions. When these elders of the nascent soul stage appeared, the original noisy hall was suddenly quiet. Everyone knew that this time the big hunting match was finally coming to fruition. However, the people of Feng family looked awkward, and their faces looked even more ugly. Their Feng family, the nascent soul stage elder Feng Yunjing, did not appear. There were already martial artists sneering as they were discussing, maybe Master Feng feels ashamed that he doesn't dare to come out. Even if it's me, I don't have a face to show up to. Making such an embarrassed thing in the match, and most of the elite who sent into the Breaking Spirit Mountain didn't make it out alive. Feng family's loss this time is too serious. These people were talking secretly. One of the casual martial artists next to him seemed to have received an inexplicable message from a friend. He was surprised when he saw the message, but he still couldn't help but take out the inscribed jade slip of the black market and inject his spiritual power. When he found the sales video recorded by recording talisman from the black market according to the guidance of a friend, his eyes suddenly straightened. He completely forgot where he was, and made a huge exclamation, "My God!" The martial artists in the hall were listening to the teachings of Elder Qixing Palace. Although there were martial artists whispering below, surely no one would shout out loud. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.